Chapter 524. I'll remember you, South Korea's 3 lives password lock. Tonight I'll trash your lousy company on Weibo. If one was unlucky, even water would get stuck in one's teeth. After paying such a huge price, how could Qin Guang be willing to lose to a system lag? Bai Hua and Lin Jingwei were in danger of coming back at any time. When the reboot was complete, Qin Guang quickly entered the password for the second time. He waited for another 10 seconds and finally with a click the password was correct and the lock was unlocked. Qin Guang's hands were so fast that it was dazzling. He opened the door, grabbed the limited edition Patek Philippe, scooped it up and stuffed it into his trouser pocket. His other hand quickly put the other watch in, and with a flick of his fingers, everything was restored to its original state. Qin Guang let out a long breath and checked that his arrangement was exactly the same as before. He was about to close the glass cabinet door again. Suddenly the office door opened with a click. It was Bai Hua and Lin Jingwei behind him. This. Bai Hua looked up and saw Qin Guang's hand on the glass cabinet door. It seemed like he was about to close it. Lin Jingwei's eyes were as big as a cow's, and he complained in his heart. What should I do now? Brother Guang, can you be any more cruel? It took at least 2 minutes. How are you going to finish? How can we explain this? Qin Guang's brain was stuck for a moment. He first looked at Bai Hua and then at the ashen-faced Lin Jingwei. Time seemed to stop at this moment and even the sky became gloomy. It felt like the moment before the end of the world. Bai Hua looked at the dumbfounded Qin Guang and then looked at the password lock. Question marks rained down on his heart. What's going on? This is a password lock. How did it open by itself? In this situation, if it was any other young lad with a slightly weaker mental state, he would probably be dumbfounded on the spot and give himself away. However, the person here was the great Rai Qin who had lived for over 100 years in the Sea of Transient. Such a small scene was nothing to me. Qin Guang shook his head gently, his wig fluttering in the wind. He smiled charmingly. "Xiao Bai, you have a wide range of interests. These 3 transformers are limited editions and they're all out of print. I'm so jealous." As he spoke, Qin Guang continued to smile and pointed to the 3 transformers models next to Patek Philippe and lied through his teeth. In fact, he didn't know whether this toy was valuable or not and whether it was out of print. But at this time, if he did not find a reason to change the topic, he really did not know what to say. Haha. Bai Hua's mouth twitched. "Big sis, that's not the main point, okay? The point is, why the hell is my combination lock open? Oh right, you were too careless. Don't buy such a crappy lock next time. Just now, it mysteriously opened by itself. I don't even know what happened." Qin Guang shrugged and continued to act innocent. To be honest, his acting was terrible. From start to finish, there was a strong sense of incongruity that made people unable to look at him directly. Even Lin Jingwei couldn't bear to watch it. "Brother Guang, you must be insulting Brother Bai's intelligence. You're lying through your teeth. You don't even believe me you're one of us, okay? Really, are you still online? Big sis, it's a life and death situation that requires your help again. Can you give me a response? Otherwise the old man might just jump off a building." The air was filled with an awkward atmosphere. Qin Guang could no longer maintain the calm expression on his face. That's right, every time there was such a desperate situation, it was time for the omnipotent Lioli to appear. "No way. I've already used my divine power to change your voice. If I waste any more divine power, the bikini I'm wearing will go to waste again. You better pray for your own good fortune." Lioli replied in Qin Guang's mind. "Then let's meet again in the next life. This is the 33rd floor. If I jump off from here, you'll definitely be able to keep my body intact. Lioli, I'm your most loyal savior. I'll devote my limited life to the great cause of saving the Emperor God. You can't leave me in the lurch. You're the most merciful and beautiful Emperor God." Today, Qin Guang had a set of mature plans to deal with Lioli. To put it simply, it was shameless, unreasonable, threatening, and flattering. Lioli hesitated for a moment, but in the end, her heart softened. "Alas, I'm afraid of you. Just don't do it again. Look into the eyes of this young man in a white suit." Okay. There was no time to ask Lioli what she was going to do. Qin Guang chose to trust her completely. He decisively raised his head and stared at Bai Hua with a pair of seductive eyes. Lin Jingwei's whole body trembled. Could it be that Brother Guang was going to use the lost secret of Jianghu, the beauty trap? Goosebumps sprang up all over Lin Jingwei's body like mushrooms after the rain. He couldn't help but shed 2 lines of desolate tears. "Brother Guang, it's been hard on you. It really hasn't been easy." Bai Hua was also very confused. He didn't know what this Miss Qin Yu, who had just helped him a lot, meant. Suddenly he felt dizzy and his eyes became misty. In his eyes, the tall supermodel suddenly became extraordinarily beautiful. His heartbeat gradually sped up, and his face gradually became rosy. Chen Guang saw the change in Bai Hua and was shocked. This scene was so familiar as if he had seen it before. Many years ago, oh no, it was only 3 or 4 months ago, Wu Tong had fallen for this trick. Grenade-throwing Liu, could it be that Liu Li? It's just as you imagined. This emperor used an emotional control technique on your cheap sister, Wu Tong. Why didn't you hypnotize her? Because it's more fun this way. Fuck. Hearing those words, Qin Guang's face turned pale. Even now, Wu Tong still hasn't gotten rid of the emotional control. On the contrary, she even fell deeper into it. Fine, he wasn't a decent person in this matter, but the problem was serious. But today the old man was Chen Yu and the brother Bai in front of me was a man. Unfortunately, it was too late for him to regret. Bai Hua's face was red, but he suddenly smiled. Miss Chen Yu, you're right. This lock is indeed faulty. I'll have someone take care of it later. As he spoke, he walked forward and tried to grab Qin Guang's hand. Qin Guang immediately took a small step back to avoid Bai Hua's perverted hand. However, Bai Hua wasn't annoyed at all. On the contrary, he calmly closed the glass cabinet and said, "If Miss Chen Yu likes these limited edition transformers, I'll give them to you after we visit the company." Lin Jingwei was shocked by the scene in front of him. He couldn't think straight. Brother Bai has become retarded. How can you believe such a stupid reason? How bad was the password lock in your house to be able to open it without a sound? Even a fool can't believe it, okay? On the other side, Qin Guang had already gotten the watch. He only wanted to run away. He didn't really have the mood to visit the company. He pretended to look down at his phone in a panic. It's already past 4 in the afternoon. I'm sorry, I'm in a hurry to have a beauty appointment with a friend. I'll visit Director by another day. After speaking, Qin Guang tilted his head and walked out quickly. It was better to run first. Lin Jingwei was shocked once again. Big brother, aren't you a little too stiff to run away without saying a word? With Brother Bai's amazing intelligence, he must know something was wrong, okay? It's fine. Miss Chen Yu, I'll see you another day. I'll send you off, Bai Hua said. He really believed it. Lin Jingwei watched the scene from the beginning to the end. It was inexplicably strange. His outlook on life had already suffered a terrible blow. Jingwei, hurry up. On the other side, Qin Guang had already taken a rather manly stride towards the main entrance of the Tianjin Group's headquarters. Bai Hua hurriedly pulled Lin Jingwei to keep up. Lin Jingwei was dragged forward by Bai Hua like a walking corpse. His heart was filled with endless regret. How could I stand you guys? How could I face Uncle Bai and Auntie Bai? I'm the one who harmed Brother Bai. Jingwei, congratulate me. Bai Hua whispered into Lin Jingwei's ear as he pushed Lin Jingwei to catch up with Chen Guang. Brother Bai, what's wrong? Lin Jingwei's heart was rekindled with the last trace of hope. I finally walked out of Shiyue's shadow. I've thought it through. What should be mine is mine. What shouldn't be mine, I can't force it. Shiyue is soft on the outside but hard on the inside. She's a stubborn woman. Since she likes that Qin Guang, I can only accept my fate even if I'm not willing. But I have to look forward, my life has to continue. And then? I thought that I would never be moved by any woman in my life. Maybe when I'm in my 30s, my family will force me to marry someone and I'll just muddle along for the rest of my life. But today I'm moved. Do you know? I like her. Qinyu, what a beautiful name. She's the most perfect woman I've ever met. I happen to be in charge of the Arabian region now. In the future, I can be her husband and wife. Meeting her is the blessing of 3 lifetimes. I know I can't be rude to a beauty, but I'm serious. She and I are a match made in heaven. Jingwei, you have to help me, you have to help me. Lin Jingwei staggered and nearly fell to the ground. He turned his head and looked at Bai Hua's face in despair. At this moment, Bai Hua was looking at Qin Guang's back with deep affection. It's over. Brother Xiao Bai's life and his entire world were ruined. Even when the two of them escaped from the Tianjin building, Lin Jingwei still hadn't recovered from the shock he received today. Qin Guang plunged into the cubicle toilet of a high-end cafe and removed his makeup. He wasn't very professional, so he used all kinds of paste and makeup remover. He rubbed his face with all his might. He removed his makeup thoroughly, but there were red marks all over his face, making him look like a mess. He held onto the wall and walked out, holding the wig in his hand. Lin Jingwei looked at him anxiously. Qin Guang pushed his hand away and said in a voice that had recovered, "Don't talk first. Let me vomit for half an hour." Blurg, Lin Jingwei also held onto the wall. "Let's vomit together." After a long while, the two of them regained their senses. Qin Guang shook his head. That's too scary. This is 2F asterisk king scary. He looked down at the sparkling and beautiful Patek Philippe in his hand, tears streaming down his face. It's really hard to get. For you, the old man has paid a heavy price. Lin Jingwei looked at him quietly. Brother Guang, were you an angel with broken wings in your past life? You're really poisonous. How am I going to explain this to Brother Bai's parents? We've messed up. F asterisk CK, you're blaming me? It's not your bad idea? You snatched away Jin Shirue, who Brother Bai likes, and it's not enough that you didn't even let him off. Let me tell you another piece of unfortunate news. Previously, after you and Baihua went out, Secretary Song also asked for my number. Based on the old man's foolish opinion, she also likes me. F asterisk CK. Are you a devil entering the village? You're going to sweep Brother Bai clean from head to toe. You're ruthless, not sparing even a chicken or a dog. Can't you leave a way out for him? Lin Jingwei scolded and suddenly came to his senses. He jumped back and kept repeating, Gaoya, I like you. Gaoya, I love you. Gaoya, I can't let you down. What are you doing? You're a walking seduction machine. You're too scary. You kill both men and women. You don't even let gays and women off. I'm afraid I'll be hurt by your charm. I, Lin Jingwei, swear here that I'll never be gay in this lifetime. Chapter 525. In any case, after a busy day, he finally got the watch back. Although the process was full of twists and turns, the result was always gratifying. As for Baihua being tricked and falling in love with a Qinyu that didn't even exist, Master Guang expressed that he was powerless to help. If you want to blame someone, blame your childhood friend Lin Jingwei. It was his idea. To be honest, this might be the world's most drastic way to eliminate a rival in love. How do you make your rival in love no longer a threat to you? No matter how strong his background is, how powerful his backer is, or how monstrous his brain is, it's all for nothing. Master Guang will personally make him fall in love with you. He won't have time to steal your woman. Originally he had planned to transfer 1.4 million to Baihua to repay the favor. After all, the regular Patek Philippe was only worth 600,000, which was far less than a third of the real value of the limited edition. However, Lin Jingwei stopped him. The reason was simple. They had stolen his watch, but he hadn't realized it yet. It seemed like Baihua didn't have the habit of wearing the watch either. Perhaps the leopard cat would be locked in the cabinet for the rest of its life. This result would be very harmonious. But you can't just turn around and give him money. That would make him suspicious. Moreover, didn't you just help someone uncover a translator's conspiracy? Just based on this, you could at least help Tianjin Group avoid hundreds of millions of losses. He would owe you an ocean of favors. Remember this. Only you, me, and Big Sister Hua will know about this. If you dare to speak of this matter, I'll strip you naked and hang you on a building. When the two of them split up, Qin Guang instructed Lin Jingwei with concern. Lin Jingwei patted his chest. Nonsense, I was going to brag about it, but now Brother Bai has been cheated so badly. Who knows, he might even pester me every day to find his dream lover, Miss Qinyu. I'm even more panicked than you, okay? Damn, stop saying Qinyu. I want to vomit again. Me too. When he returned to the hotel, Qin Guang played around with the Patek Philippe that could cover an entire suite while reading the news on Weibo. He suddenly saw a street photo and wanted to vomit blood. Supermodels among the people, tall and slender beauties unexpectedly appear on the streets of Beijing. What the hell? Who took this? Isn't that me? Little Linny, that idiot? After staring at it for a while, Qin Guang was disgusted by the two front and side shots of him on the screen. However, he also ruled out Lin Jingwei as a suspect. It was obvious that someone had taken this photo somewhere else with a DSLR. It was a photo of him and Lin Jingwei fleeing in panic from the Tianjin building. In the photo, it was him grabbing onto Lin Jingwei's collar and fleeing in a hurry. It had to be said that this fellow's portrait skills weren't just average. Qin Guang felt that he was fleeing in panic, but under this fellow's lens he actually gave off a valiant and domineering feeling. He clicked on the class group chat anxiously. Sure enough, Bai Nyangzi, who had nothing better to do besides writing and surfing the internet, had already forwarded this news to the class group chat. The onlookers were calm, but Gaoya was furious. Gaoya, Lin Jingwei. Tell me clearly. Who is this person? Lin Jingwei, Gaoya, you won't tell me, right? Lin Jingwei sent a crying emoji. My dear little Ya, I can swear to God that there's nothing going on between us. Even if I have to sleep with a pig, there's nothing going on between me and this woman. But I really can't tell you who she is. I really can't. Please believe me. Qin Guang quietly closed the class group chat. He felt sorry for Gaoya Lin Jingwei and himself for 30 seconds. It was the most embarrassing misunderstanding in history. Right at this moment, a voice resounded from Qin Guang's back. "You're that beauty, right? My brother Qin Guang." Qin Guang looked back and saw that the little lowly Xen Qin was standing behind him. "Damn it. It's not me." Xen Qin smiled faintly and held up 3 fingers. "First of all, your clothes are exactly the same as in the photo. Second, your height is exactly the same as the person in the photo. Finally, your hands are different from others. No one can copy or imitate them. Don't ask me why I know your hands are special. It's because I'm a big fan of the darts master, Miss Qin." Qin Guang's mouth was wide open, but he couldn't refute. "You really surprised me. Cross-dressing fetish, hee. Xan Qin said calmly. Qin Guang covered his face. "No, it's not what you think. It's okay, brother Qin Guang. A genius must have something special. I understand. My master always comforts me like this. It's better this way. My master will be more relieved to let me stay with you." As she spoke, Xan Qin suddenly revealed a look of relief. A shadow flashed by outside the window. Qin Guang turned to look. "MHM, my master left. Is your master a voyeur?" "No. She's just worried about you." "She's relieved now?" "Yes. Cross-dressing makes her think you're safe." "Pia?" Qin Guang slapped himself. "I'd rather she think I'm dangerous." "Okay, I'll stop joking with you. There's a lot of bad news on the internet today," Xan Qin said as she took out a tablet and put it in front of Qin Guang. Qin Guang took it suspiciously and mumbled, "What news?" 30 seconds later he blew up. F***ck them. It's fine if they're not convinced because they're not as good as me. How dare they go online to flaming me? International Anti-Unfair Competition Alliance? They must be sick in the head. Qin Guang was talking about the international contestants that fled with their tails between their legs. They had suffered yesterday and they were clearly unwilling to accept it. They didn't dare to cause a ruckus when they were in the wrong, but they couldn't control their mouths afterward. The Englishman, Bant Wilkins, who had always prided himself on being a gentleman, was the first to open fire on his Twitter account. He said that China was no longer the country of etiquette in the past, but had become an unreasonable country where the officials and players brazenly cheated, and there was no room for doubt. Popalika, Helvede, Walken, and the others followed closely behind, saying that they had personally witnessed a shameful scam in Wuxia. The Wuxia people had turned the fair and just darts sport into a funny magic show. Furthermore, after they raised their doubts, they were treated unfairly by the Wuxia officials and almost got themselves hurt. A group of internationally famous players fired at the same time, causing a huge impact on the international scene. None of these players were nobodies. On the contrary, they all had many fans. Although darts was a relatively small sport, it was precisely because of this that the fans and enthusiasts of the sport felt that it was noble. Hearing that China had used the power of a country to tarnish their hobby, the international enthusiasts naturally followed suit. Truth be told, anyone with a normal brain would know that it's impossible for Qin Guang to rely on cheating to crush everyone if they watched the videos he posted in the past. However, it was precisely this principle. When there were too many people scolding someone, even the person being scolded would start to doubt their own life, not to mention other bystanders. Even some of the Chinese fans had the following theories. Could it be that brother all-rounder cheated in darts? Previous posters: mother exploding, hearse drifting, ashes mixed with rice, and disco dancing at the grave. F***ck, why are you scolding people? Idiot fan. King troll. One fan is more than 10. Wilkins and the others had been famous for a long time. They were all famous people. They couldn't just shamelessly slander the domestic players. You don't know darts at all. You're trying to hide something. There might be a reason for it, alright? Can't you use your brain to look at this? Don't blindly worship him, alright? Can you use your own judgment? Idiot. At #yen at %%, the two sides entered their daily rhythm of scolding. If the domestic fans were already like this, it was needless to say that the international fans were using all sorts of methods, including the most intense ones. The information that Xan Qin had compiled on her tablet stated that at 10 o'clock that morning, the official website of the China Escort Association had been hacked. The homepage had been tampered with, and all the reports related to Qin Guang's competitions had disappeared from the server. After 11 o'clock, the personal website that had been set up for Qin Guang, the almighty Superman, had also collapsed. It was said that it had suffered an irrecoverable impact. After 3 o'clock, Qin Guang's personal Weibo account had been hacked, and a very dirty Weibo post was posted. The official Weibo company had reacted quickly and deleted the hacked Weibo post in a very short time. They had also taken the initiative to communicate with Mr. Chen's manager, Ms. Xin, to change the login password. They had also temporarily restricted the posting function of this account for protection purposes. But in the end, the almighty Superman account, which had 12 million live fans, had also been affected. What was even more infuriating was that Chen Guang hadn't even seen the extremely dirty Weibo post. Master Guang was furious. Shameless. You asked me to take the lead, but I didn't know the car plate number. Are you done? What do you want to say? Xin Qin saw the veins on Chen Guang's neck bulging. She quietly snatched the tablet back and asked. Chen Guang laughed. I'm not angry. I'm not angry at all. If you hadn't crushed the TV remote control, I would have believed it. Alright, this group of B** cheese. They have successfully angered me. Then what are you going to do? Xin Qin tilted her head and looked at Chen Guang. Chen Guang snorted. Tomorrow I'll make them lose consciousness. I'll make them doubt their lives. I'll make them not dare to mention that they know how to play darts in front of others. Click. Very good. I've posted this video for you. Ha. Chen Guang picked up his phone and looked at it. He didn't know when Xin Qin had also gotten the rights to use his Weibo account. He had already posted the latest news on it, to international friends. This Weibo post was a long picture, summarizing the things that had happened on the internet from yesterday to today. Then it was a short video of 10 seconds or so. It started from Xin Qin asking him what he planned to do, and ended with him telling them not to mention how to play darts. Obviously, Xin Qin didn't just have a whim. She had planned it beforehand. Not bad. The angle of the video is pretty good. You're even more handsome than you look in the mirror. Chen Guang commented. In the face of doubts, Almighty Bro responded in a high-profile manner. It immediately made his fans' blood boil. Land of etiquette? Humble and low-key? Yes, the Chinese were indeed famous for their so-called traditional virtues in the past. But it's not that we don't fight back. We are a land of etiquette because all countries submit to us. We are humble and low-key because you all bow down to us. You all have already taken advantage of us. Being humble is the inferiority complex of the weak. If you have the strength, you have to show it openly. Jin Shiyue, who reposted this Weibo post, said it best. A frog at the bottom of a well doesn't know the ambitions of a swan. I believe in my boyfriend. See you all at the concert tomorrow. Goddess Shiryue's Weibo post contained a lot of information. The onlookers' emotions were unstable. Those who were familiar with Chen Guang's and Lefty's movements immediately made the connection. Almighty Bro was currently in Beijing, and Lefty was also about to hold a concert there. Could it be that this pair of rumored lovers, who only showed off their love on the internet, would be on the same stage for the first time in history? This was going to be big news. Chapter 526. The next morning, with a good mood, he cleaned himself up and whistled as he opened the hotel room door. Chen Guang strode out and headed for the World Championship. Just as he stepped out, he stepped on something soft. Looking down, Chen Guang rolled his eyes. The dignified captain of an unknown Special Forces team in Wujing, Comrade Xuelin, was lying in front of the hotel room door like a tramp, and his handsome and domineering foot was stepping on this young man's face. Are you crazy? Why are you sleeping so early in the morning? Chen Guang cursed as he pulled his foot back. The young man's face had a clear shoe print. Xuelin opened his eyes in a daze and rubbed his sleepy eyes. His brain gradually recovered, and when he saw that it was Chen Guang, he stood up with joy, not even knowing that there was a shoe print on his face. He said with a smile, "Brother Chen Guang, you're up? What are you doing?" Chen Guang was scared by this guy's image. He wondered if he had gone crazy from wanting to learn kung fu. I arrived last night, but I was afraid to disturb your sleep, so I didn't dare knock. But I was afraid that when I woke up, you would go to the competition again, so I had to sleep here for the night. Xuelin said with a smile. She didn't take sleeping on the floor seriously at all. There were many more difficult situations than this when he was carrying out missions. After waiting for several months, Chen Guang finally relented and summoned him. Xuelin cherished this opportunity very much. Who is he? At this time, Xin Qin, wearing a mask and sunglasses, walked over. She looked at Xuelin in military uniform and frowned. Xuelin also looked at Xin Qin with a puzzled expression, but did not say anything. Chen Guangxin pretended to drink water to feel the faith value in the cup. He still had to save for 2 more days before he could reach 600,000. He didn't expect Xuelin to come so quickly and directly use her ultimate skill to block the door. Go and prepare for 2 days. I'll be quite busy today and tomorrow, and your current condition isn't up to my expectations. I'll call you when it's about time. Qin Guang decisively lied through his teeth to fool Xuelin. If he had known that this guy was in such a hurry, he would have waited until he had saved 600,000 yuan before calling him. Now it was a little embarrassing. Instead of being annoyed, Xuelin nodded excitedly. The more Qin Guang acted like this, the more he felt that Qin Guang attached great importance to this matter, and he was even more grateful. Thank you, master. Don't call me master. My teeth ache. Qin Guang felt goosebumps all over his body when he heard him call him master. Xuanqin looked Xuelin up and down with great interest. Disciple? Qin Guang waved his hand. Not really. I just taught him a few moves. His aptitude is indeed not bad. Although he can't compare to you, he is much better than ordinary people. Xuanqin commented. Xuelin was puzzled. Although this girl was wearing a mask and sunglasses, she was still a minor. How could she comment on her aptitude? You're acting too mature. Qin Guang patted him on the shoulder and pointed at Xuanqin with his big finger. This is a real inner force master. Xuelin gasped. When he looked at Xuanqin again, the look in his eyes changed. He thought to himself, Brother Qin Guang is really a crouching tiger and hidden dragon. No wonder this little girl spoke so maturely. She's a master. He abruptly bowed towards Xuanqin and said, This junior greets senior Tong. Crack. The phone in Xuanqin's hand broke. Xuelin's eyelids twitched. So strong. He broke the phone with his bare hands. Qin Guang saw that the situation was not good. He hurriedly asked Xuelin to leave. You find a place to practice for 2 days. It's not easy to learn my unique skill. You must adjust your physical condition to the best, or your life will be in danger. Go. Xuelin was baffled, but since Qin Guang had asked him to leave, he would leave. Nodding his head towards the two of them, he immediately turned around and ran away with the swiftness of a soldier. Senior Tong. Looking at Xuelin's back, Xuanqin gritted her teeth and said, Don't laugh. I'm not laughing. I'm really not laughing. Of course, Qin Guang couldn't laugh very soon, because he painfully found out that the phone that was crushed was his popcorn 6S. Fortunately, he found a shopping mall that sold mobile phones. Qin Guang stopped the bus, rushed out, and bought a new phone in 5 minutes. Then he went to the venue while playing with the software. When he arrived, he painstakingly fixed the live broadcast software. When they arrived at the venue, Xuanqin didn't rush to go in with Qin Guang. She didn't know where she went. Qin Guang didn't mind. Anyway, he was used to her unpredictability. He just played the live broadcast himself. Since the day before yesterday, unbeknownst to him, Brother Little Tsong had already started to promote his live stream on the internet. When Qin Guang started the live broadcast, millions of viewers rushed in at the speed of light. There were only a few who really liked darts. Most of them came for the almighty Superman himself. Qin Guang looked at the bullet screen and was happy. There were all kinds of people. Some asked him when he would participate in the racing competition. Some asked him when he would produce pencil carvings again. Some wanted to learn piano skills from him. There were even Dota players who asked him when he would do a live broadcast again. Of course, there were also his pure online fans. In short, whatever Brother Almighty did was good and everyone liked it. Perhaps Qin Guang's live stream could be considered the most complicated place in the world. There were all sorts of people, and what's more miraculous was that everyone got along well with each other. Regardless of which style they liked, Qin Guang was unquestionably the strongest in the world in this field. Some fans joked, no matter what style you like, Brother Almighty will always have one that suits you. I don't know what everyone thinks, but I have a wide range of hobbies. I play games and love racing. I didn't know anything about darts before, but after watching it a lot these days, I've learned it. I think it's interesting too. Previously, I didn't understand why, but now I understand. In fact, I like to watch Brother All-Rounder crush and bully others along the way. Bro, I wouldn't have thought of it if you didn't mention it. I think I'm the same. Recently, foreigners have been very arrogant. They'll definitely be unlucky in the World Championship. I wonder what Brother Almighty will play next after winning the World Championship in darts? Did you guys realize that no matter what it is, as long as he makes a move, others can only accompany him in his studies? What the previous poster said makes sense. I like Brother Almighty's show off in all fields. I bet 50 cents that Brother Almighty will show off his foreign language skills soon. It can't be? There are still many people in the world who know more than 10 foreign languages. Don't ask me why. It's intuition. A woman's intuition. What? There are actually female viewers. Deduct 1 for real sisters. Below there were 10,000 comments deducting 1. Then, some sharp-eyed people noticed that Qin Guang had also deducted a 1. Oh, my brother almighty is so cheap. He's pretending to be his own female fan. Qin Guang chuckled and then sent a bullet screen. Everyone, remember to call me the guy with many female fans in the future. The competition is about to start, so I won't chat any longer. With just a simple chat, he easily tricked a bunch of gifs. Then he set the #1 fan of the week as the live broadcast manager. Then, he happily sat in the contestants area and waited for the competition to start. Hello, Mr. Qin. I'm Chu Hao. Previously, what I said online might have offended you. Please forgive me. Just as Qin Guang sat down, a chubby middle-aged man came up to him and said with a sincere expression. Qin Guang smiled and waved his hand. He did not mind. You're too kind. We're not familiar with each other. If we get to know each other better, there won't be any misunderstandings. It's just a small matter. Right, Mr. Chu, I'm doing a live broadcast here. Chu Hao heard that and reacted quickly. That's a good feeling. Mr. Qin, turn the camera to me. I want to become famous too. Hello everyone. I'm Chu Hao. I'm here to apologize to Mr. Qin. Please don't scold me on my Weibo in the future. I'm deeply remorseful. He was not spouting nonsense. Recently, many of Almighty Superman's fans had nothing better to do. They would go around the internet and trample on anyone who had a problem with Qin Guang online. Chu Hao, Lian Yu and the others did not escape. Zhang Tianming, who was even earlier, still had a bunch of people scolding him on Weibo. In the past 2 days, everyone had been busy climbing over the wall to spread Brother Almighty's prestige overseas. They had swept through the Twitter, Facebook and other social media accounts of Wilkins, Popalika and the others. Only then did Chu Hao and the others catch a breather. As the saying went, birds of a feather flocked together. Qin Guang was not someone who was easy to deal with. Ever since his true identity was exposed and he had nowhere to hide, he simply threw away his mask. There was no such thing as enduring humiliation in his dictionary. If he was like that, the fans who liked him would not be too humble either. Chu Hao apologized to the nearly 2 million viewers in the live broadcast room. On the other side, Lian Yu also chuckled and came over to do the same. Unlike the foreigners who refused to admit defeat, domestic players like Chu Hao and Lian Yu had already communicated with Chen Xiaoxing clearly. They understood very well that even though there were 2 professional players participating in the tournament, the real protagonist could only be the big shark who had fought his way out of the amateur tournament. The huge competition venue was filled with a sea of people. Unlike the past few amateur tournaments where most of the audience came for Qin Guang's name, the tickets to the World Championship were expensive. Those who were willing to fork out real money to buy tickets to watch the competition were mostly the real darts enthusiasts in the country. Brothers, who do you support? Your question makes me unhappy. Of course it's Qin Guang. It's Brother Almighty. If we Chinese don't support our own players, are we supposed to support those snobbish foreigners? Didn't they say that Qin Guang could cheat? Stop it. Those are foreigners deliberately discrediting him. Alright, we have different goals. I'm afraid I'll lose my IQ if I talk too much with you. Hey, why are your words so unpleasant? It's not that my words are unpleasant, but you have to have your own judgment. Come, I'll introduce you to a Weibo account. You can follow it later and watch all the videos he posted before. Then you'll know how embarrassing it is to ask me these questions. At this time, the crowd of spectators was gradually filling up with people, and the content of the conversation was mostly like this. A bald man sat awkwardly in the crowd. He was the president of the Anti-Light Alliance. He had put in a lot of effort to buy a plane ticket to come to Yanjing with the intention of expanding his membership in this venue. Who would have thought that the audience around him were all knowledgeable? Not only did no one join him in discrediting Qin Guang, but they even praised him for his awesomeness? If not for the fact that I'm a loyal fan of Jin Shiyue, I would have been convinced by you. The anti-brother Guang gritted his teeth and howled in his heart. On the other side, Wilkins and a group of international players were blocking the Wuxia Escort Association with the heads of their respective escort associations who had rushed over. They were demanding that all the players' equipment be changed at the last minute. They wanted to use the darts and dartboards designated by the World Escort Association. They were obviously questioning the entire Wuxia Escort Association and even the staff of the World Escort Association who were preparing for the World Championship. Wilkins, you're messing around. Old Zhao and a group of vice presidents of the Wuxia Escort Association argued. Mr. Zhao, we didn't tamper with the equipment. Even if we were to change the dartboards and dartboards designated by us, wouldn't it still have to go through your country's organizing committee's inspection? Our World Escort Association's judging team will not practice favoritism. What are you afraid of? Wilkins was determined. That's a separate matter. You're humiliating us. There's absolutely no problem with the equipment we provided. I don't agree to change it at the last minute. Old Zhao was indeed the hot-tempered one. He refused to budge in the face of the World Escort Association's aggressiveness. At that moment Old Zhao's phone rang. He picked up the call, and within 2 sentences, Old Zhao's expression changed drastically. He hung up the phone with a bitter face. Liang Fatsai asked him what happened. Old Zhao sighed. Our president called just now and said that the World Escort Association can do whatever they want. She only wants us to record the whole thing and wait until after the competition. Isn't that admitting defeat? Liang Fatsai asked anxiously. Old Zhao shook his head. The president said that they can do whatever they want. Even if they tamper with the darts used in the competition, it won't affect Qin Guang's results. Ha! Chapter 527. Was he that awesome? Liang Fatsai kept this question in his mind until Qin Guang was ready to go on stage. By then Xianqin had returned. She had been playing the role of Qin Guang's assistant the entire time. As she watched Qin Guang check his equipment not far away, Liang Fatsai asked Xianqin cautiously, Miss Xen, is Qin Guang going to be all right? Xianqin turned to look at him, her voice muffled through her mask. President Liang, what are you talking about? Liang Fatsai was taken aback. He doesn't know about the last-minute change of equipment? Xianqin tilted her head. What does that have to do with anything? The result is the same anyway. Liang Fatsai rolled his eyes. Why are all of you so calm as if you have a stabilizing force in your stomachs? You're making it seem like I'm the only one who isn't calm. I'm embarrassed, all right? Their conversation had already been heard by more than 3 million viewers in the livestream room. The viewers were also amused. They all said that Chairman Liang was really good at acting cute. On the other side, Qin Guang had already checked all his equipment and nodded at the referee. I'm ready. The French referee looked at Qin Guang expressionlessly. Please move forward. However, Qin Guang smiled and shook his head. No need. What? You want to withdraw from the competition? The French referee, who had been transferred in at the last minute, raised his eyebrows in disdain. The International Escort Service Association had already reached a consensus that they would not be so lowly as to tamper with the equipment. They were only certain that as long as the Chinese Escort Service Association was not given a chance to react, they would force them to switch to their darts and darts. This shameless cheater would not stand a chance at all. Qin Guang shook his head again. He said in perfect French, Of course not. I'm just too lazy to move forward. Didn't you all accuse me of cheating? It's impolite not to reciprocate. Then I'll use your equipment and cheat for you all to see. At this time, Central TV Department 5, which had a viewership rating of over 5%, was broadcasting the World Championship live. Although it was working hours and the number of viewers who could sit at home and watch TV did not exceed 20 to 30 million people, there were still more than 2 million people who were glued to their televisions and tuned to Central TV Department 5. Other than that, there were also more than 2 to 3 million people watching the live broadcast on Central TV's webcast. Perhaps the number of viewers watching the live broadcast overlapped with Qin Guang's own live broadcast, but at this moment, there were at least 5 million people watching this scene from all over the country. Internationally, all the major TV stations, especially those that had contestants from their own countries, were also broadcasting the entire competition live. Looking at it from all over the world, the live audience for this competition was more than 20 million people. In the Beijing Workers' Stadium, 5 kilometers away from the World Championship venue, Jin Shiyue and Jiang Yage, who were rehearsing for their concert, ran backstage to watch TV during a break in the rehearsal. What is he doing? Wasn't it his turn to go up? Why is he standing there whispering to the referee? Jiang Yage was puzzled. Jin Shiyue did not understand either. I don't know either. Maybe he's being deliberately made difficult for. Not far away, the foreign contestants who had been watching Qin Guang started whispering to each other when they saw this. They were all very pleased with themselves. Who asked you to be so arrogant? Now that we've changed all our equipment, let's see how you can still cheat. At this moment, Qin Guang, who was standing at his original spot, suddenly moved. He picked up 3 darts at the same time, and then with a seemingly casual flick of his right hand, the 3 darts landed on the dartboard about 7 to 8 meters in front of him. All 3 darts hit the threefold zone of 20 points. Qin Guang shrugged and did not say anything more. He turned around and sat down. In front of the TV and in the huge stadium, everyone who saw this scene was completely silent. In the past, he had always passed with 9 darts and there were times when he had stood so far away. But this time he threw 3 darts and stood so far away, and all of them hit the threefold zone of 20 points. Don't mess with us. How is this possible? Sitting at the bar, Qin Guang did not care how frightened the others were. He just turned to Chu Hao and said half-jokingly, "Sai, it's a pity that according to the rules I can't throw 9 darts at once. I have to wait for someone else to throw around. What a waste of time." Chu Hao turned his face away, indicating that he did not want to talk to him at all. "This is impossible." Sitting on the other side, Papalika's face was pale, and his lips were trembling. Turning to look at him, Qin Guang spoke in Indian language. "Aside from saying that it's impossible, can you say anything else that's possible? My darts were provided by you guys." "What did you say to him just now?" Lian Yu came over and asked. Qin Guang chuckled. "I said that ever since these foreigners saw me they would only say, 'Wow. This is impossible.' I protest. He cheated. But it's useless. I don't win the game with my mouth." Xan Qin pointed her phone at Qin Guang and the others, and immediately recorded his words for the live broadcast. Isn't this a little too arrogant? Can we be a little more low-key?" The dignified president of the Dechuan branch, Comrade Liang Fatsai, had now completely become a waiter who served tea and water. Qin Guang shook his head indifferently. "There's no need to be low-key. Being low-key won't win the championship. Without the championship there will be no respect. Since I can win, I can't be low-key anymore." 10 minutes later he simply sat on the bar and did not get up. Once again he threw 3 darts with one hand and all of them hit the target perfectly. In the history of live broadcasting, there had never been such an incredible darts competition. If they did not see it with their own eyes, if they did not know that this was a live broadcast of the World Championship of Darts on a sports channel, the audience in front of the TV would have thought that they were watching a movie. But no matter how strange it seemed, no matter how unbelievable it was the truth. Thanks to the rules of the darts competition, it did indeed stipulate the distance of the nearest dart throw line. There were no rules for those who insisted on standing far away. Even in a formal competition like the World Championship, Qin Guang could stand as far away as he wanted as the rules allowed. Finally, the first round of preliminaries ended in torment. Next, the final 8 players would compete for the championship of this year's World Championship of Darts. Everything looked so harmonious. Chu Hao performed well and successfully entered the finals as one of the top 3 in the preliminaries. However, from the beginning to the end, Chu Hao only cared about laughing. The expressions of those internationally renowned players, whom he could only look up to and felt that he could not surpass, were simply too interesting. Their faces alternated between green and white. Every time they were caught by the camera, they had to squeeze out an ugly smile. It was even worse than crying. They only wanted to withdraw from the competition now. They could not even shout out the slogan of fighting for their dignity. This was too much of a bully. For the first time, they seriously considered whether the darts competition should set a rule for the furthest distance to effectively prevent this man named Qin Guang from showing off. Under the recommendation of the crowd, Wilkins stood up once again and looked for the head judge of the organizing committee of the World Championship. He hoped that the head judge could persuade Qin Guang to end the competition normally and at least leave them with a little bit of dignity. Although the head judge was displeased with Wilkins and his group for forcefully changing the equipment, he also felt that they were too pitiful. So, he tried to communicate with Qin Guang. "Mr. Qin, can you not sit at the bar and throw your darts in the finals later? Although I also think that they went overboard in doubting you, they have already received sufficient punishment." Qin Guang readily agreed. "Yes, Mr. Judge." "Mr. Wilkins, Mr. Chen has agreed." The head judge turned his head and said to Wilkins and his group, who were waiting anxiously. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief. "Everyone, as the head judge of the competition, there are some things that I do not want to say. However, if you had not questioned the work of the Wuxia organizing committee and the referees and changed the equipment at the last minute, Qin Guang might not have been so overbearing. Look, he is still very easy to talk to." Bobalika's face turned red. "Yes, sir. We will apologize to him after the competition." After a short break, the finals officially began. The international players immediately withdrew their thoughts of apologizing. Yes, Qin Guang was not at the bar anymore. He had gone to the spectator stand. "Brother all-rounder, what are you doing here? Hasn't the competition started?" Qin Guang sat among the crowd and smiled. It's fine. I'm just here to compete." He turned his head and saw Baldy. "Yo, Baldy, you're here too. What a coincidence." The crowd was shocked. Previously, when they heard Baldy bragging about being the president of the Anti-Light Alliance, they did not pay attention to him. They did not expect Qin Guang to actually know him. Baldy rolled his eyes and cursed in his heart. I don't even want to talk to you. Let me introduce to everyone. This is the president of my first fan club, the Anti-Light Alliance. It is the only fan club that I have officially recognized. If everyone is interested, feel free to join. Oh right, Brother Baldy is a good person, but he is greedy and lustful. Everyone, please remember not to pay any membership fees or play any dirty tricks. The Anti-Light Alliance has never collected membership fees. Baldy was anxious. Oh, then as long as the ladies remember to be on guard against Brother Baldy. Other than his lustful nature, he is actually quite a good person. He did not know why, but every time he saw Baldy's disgusting expression, Qin Guang would feel happy. Mr. Qin, why are you on the spectator stand? It's your turn to compete. At this moment, the head judge finally came over. He felt like his head was about to explode. Didn't you promise me that you would not throw darts at the bar? Qin Guang nodded. Yes, that's why I ran to the spectator stand. The head judge felt like vomiting blood. Bro, you ran even further. Look, it's more than 30 meters from here to the dartboard. Without giving the head judge a chance to speak, Qin Guang's hand shook, and a dart shot out. It hit the 50th target in the center of the target, snatching first place in the first round of the finals. He is a B** starred. A complete B** starred. F** CK. I don't want to compete anymore. I want to quit. Wokin was on the verge of breaking down. Why has no one ever told me that the Chinese are so good at darts? Could it be that the Chinese who competed with us in the past were just children? Wilkins' face was ashen. The TV broadcast accurately captured the group of international friends' expressions of despair, and the audience in front of the TV was immediately amused. Some of the foreign audience felt that it was unfair for their country's contestants. They felt that this Chinese was too much and too evil. However, there were even more people who liked Qin Guang's style. Since he was so capable, why did he have to keep a low profile? Although he was arrogant, he was not blindly conceited. That was because, in his field, he really had no match. The famous underground racer, the leader of the North American modified car industry, Tommy Diesel, was watching the live broadcast on ESPN while he posted on his social media site. I saw many people saying that this Chinese is too arrogant. Even if he wins, they won't like him. I can only tell you that only the weak care about how many people like them. A true expert like him will not care about whether you like him or not. If you were lucky enough to compete with him like I was, you would understand that no matter where he is a true king. He is a god. The famous second-generation heir from Detroit, another expert in car modification, and the recently popular champion of the latest North American URC Rally Championship, Faust, also posted on Twitter. I don't want to say much. Up until now, all my efforts have been to catch up to Rai Chen's footsteps. In my heart, he's stronger than my father, 100 times. For the rest of my life, I will never forget his absolutely dominating performance on the Hong Kong racetrack. In addition to these two people, the King of the Rising Sun and the others, who were previously unconvinced of Qin Guang, also expressed their opinions. They could not bear the fact that their god was being questioned in other fields. Although racing and darts were completely different categories, the fact that the King of the Rising Sun and the others, who were quite popular, stood up and publicly supported him immediately changed Qin Guang's international image. In fact, the reason they said was very simple. The strong should be respected, and the strong should be arrogant. In the end, Wilkins and the others did not choose to withdraw from the race. The crushing defeat on the field had already made them lose face. If they could not afford to lose, they would only become more of a laughing stock. When Qin Guang was still sitting in the stands, he turned his head and chatted with people while throwing 3 darts. The darts landed on the 20s, 19s and 12s respectively on the dartboard. The race finally ended. Without a doubt, he became the champion of the World Championship and the well-deserved king of the world darts industry. It could even be said that he had almost single-handedly destroyed the sport of darts. From now on, regardless of whether he would participate in the race or not, no one would be able to accept an ordinary competition where he stood more than 2 meters away and carefully threw one dart after another. It would seem stupid. Qin Guang did not have the mood to think so much. When he received the trophy, his other hand was holding the heavenly Holy Grail and drinking water. His mind had already sunk into the heavenly Holy Grail and was observing the changes in the production of faith points. More than 20 million people watched the live broadcast on TV, which made his popularity go out of the country overnight. Because of the trophy in his hand, the Dart God statue's production rate skyrocketed by 5,000, reaching its peak. In addition, the other major God statues also increased to varying degrees. The total daily production of faith points had reached 125,000. Mr. Chin, I sincerely apologize for my previous offense to you. Wilkins's forehead was overflowing with faith points as he approached Qin Guang with a bitter face and gritted teeth. Looking at Su Tao's expression, Qin Guang was instantly amused. This British gentleman has a complicated feeling in his heart. I'm not blind and I naturally know that you're unhappy with me. But you're just sending me letters on your forehead. Forget it, I'll forgive you since you're only getting 3 points of faith a day. He patted Wilkins on the shoulder. It's all right. There's an old Chinese saying that goes, if you respect me, I will respect you tenfold. Let the unhappiness of the past sink into the English Channel. Faced with his generosity, Wilkins's faith points actually shot up again and became 6 points a day. Chapter 528. There was supposed to be a celebration party after the competition, but Qin Guang thought it was too troublesome. There was no use socializing with these people, so he rejected them without thinking and planned to run away. Although there were still 3 hours until his right hand's concert, Qin Guang intended to head over earlier and act as though he was paying attention to it. However, he was stopped by someone. It was his so-called assistant, Ms. Xan. What? Qin Guang looked at the little lowly who was wrapped up tightly in front of him. For some reason, there was a terrifying aura coming from her at that moment. Back then, Xan Qin came to invite him to participate in the amateur darts tournament as a staff member of the Escort Association. Qin Guang and she, who had a unique skill, had a friendly exchange and finally reached a consensus to participate in the tournament. Now that the tournament was over, Qin Guang had won from the amateur darts tournament to the world championship. The ending was satisfactory. Now, Qin Guang felt that he had no value to Xan Qin anymore, so it was time for her to disappear from his side. Although he rarely asked about her motive for staying by his side or who her so-called master was, Qin Guang wasn't a fool. He didn't have to rack his brain to guess that Xan Qin must be from an internal energy sect or family that's related to hidden weapons and darts. Well, it didn't matter whether it was a sect or a family. Qin Guang didn't know much about it. Anyway, people who could use inner force were very cool and had big and hard fists. The power behind her was also a very powerful one. As for why she insisted on participating in the competition, Master Guang said that it was because he was interested in the old man's popularity, so he wanted the old man to help her promote darts. Wrong, it was to be a spokesperson who didn't pay. Otherwise, why would such a capable and outstanding little lowly follow him around all day, helping to shoot live broadcasts, help to make videos, help to organize the news on the internet, and even help to post on Weibo? She was a very considerate little assistant, and she didn't ask for a salary. Qin Guang didn't believe that there was such a good thing as a free lunch. Don't tell me it's because of love, I don't believe it. There will be a dinner party later. Brother Qin Guang, come with me. Xan Qin cupped her hands and said while blinking her eyes. Qin Guang took a step back. Please be normal. You're giving me the creeps. All right, there's a dinner party. Come with me. What? There's a company that wants you to be their spokesperson. I think they have good qualifications, so I accepted the job for you. Xan Qin spread her hands. Endorsement my ass. I'm not interested. How can I waste my precious time on endless endorsements? Qin Guang protested. 5 million a year. All you need to do is shoot a few commercials. You don't need to do any activities. It's practically free. You don't want it? 10 million in total for a 2-year contract. Xan Qin looked at him with a puzzled face. That's quite a lot. I don't think it's a lot. My Weibo account bonus and livestream income add up to 1 or 2 million. Qin Guang expressed his lack of interest. Xan Qin silently crushed the pebble in her hand. The pebble turned into powder and slid down her fingertips. Let's go. Where's the place? We mustn't neglect our esteemed guest. Halfway through the journey, Qin Guang remembered to ask what company it was. It's a delivery company. I think it's called Dragon Gate Express. My friend recommended it. Qin Guang was puzzled. I've never heard of this company. Also, do you have friends? Xan Qin snorted through her nose. That's right. You're so beautiful and lovely. You must have friends all over the world. That's more like it. I'm not very clear about the specific business of their company. You can ask them when you meet them. Xan Qin said indifferently. Qin Guang rolled his eyes. A manager like you makes me a little drunk. On the other hand, Jin Zhang's concert would start at roughly 8 p.m. Qin Guang took a look at the place where they were eating. It was quite close to the workers' sports complex, and it was only 10-odd minutes away on foot. If he rushed over now to meet with Dragon Gate Express, he would be able to finish his meal quickly and make a detour to the workers' sports complex. If he didn't, it would be even more convenient. Actually, he was quite curious. Xan Qin's friend, who knew internal force, introduced him to Dragon Gate Express. No matter how he thought about it, it seemed very Wuxia. Right, starting from next month, the Escort Association will hold the National Darts League for primary and secondary school students every month. Xan Qin seemed to have remembered something. Qin Guang curled his lips indifferently. That's great. But what does it have to do with me? Because you're the sponsor of the competition. Wait, when did I sponsor it? Just now. The endorsement fee for Dragon Gate Express. After all this time, I haven't even seen the money, and I've already spent it for you. Qin Guang didn't feel very good. Xan Qin snorted, took out a tablet and placed it in front of him. I've done some research. Currently, the endorsement fee of the top celebrities in the country is about the same as yours. But they have to cooperate with the manufacturers to do a lot of publicity every year. I finally understand. I was just wondering why Dragon Gate Express was so stupid with so much money. After all this time, I'm just a cover. I'm actually giving you money. Xan Qin shook her head. No, you're not a cover. If you hold the competition in your name, the students will be more enthusiastic to sign up. There will also be the annual finals. The annual champion will get your autograph and a few days of closed-door training. Little Xan Qin's foxtail finally showed. That's right. She wanted to use Qin Guang's fame to promote darts in the country, to select talents for her declining Thousand Despair sect. Wait a minute. What's in it for me? I won't get any money and I have to help you train people. I'm putting in the effort and money but I don't get any benefits. I'm losing out. Qin Guang's face darkened. Big brother Qin Guang, help me. Please help me. Xan Qin shook Qin Guang's arm. Her unique lowly voice echoed in the car. The driver in the front seat trembled and almost crashed into an electric pole on the side of the road. Oh, my little sweetheart. Qin Guang felt as if he had been electrocuted. You're acting like a spoiled child. The old man can't take it. Forget it, seeing that you are such a beautiful lowly, it is not impossible to go up a mountain of swords or plunge into a sea of flames. Big brother, you're so good to me. Xan Qin leaned on him and hugged his arm tightly. The driver in the front seat felt his hair stand on end. Qin Guang didn't feel anything wrong. He patted Xan Qin's head and said, "Sigh. If only you were this obedient every day." He didn't know how his sister Lingshan was doing. She would have to go back to Southeast Province for the National College entrance examination next year. It was not easy to get into the top 5 universities in Southeast Province. He would ask her when he got back. If things were not going well, he would spend money to send her to various training classes. In fact, there were some things he didn't tell Xan Qin. He knew that Xan Qin needed his help to promote darts. Just like how billiards became popular in the country, she needed a top international player like Ding Junhui. A top athlete who could win glory for the country in an unpopular sport could effectively increase the influence of an unpopular sport in the country. Just like how Ding Junhui was to billiards, Zheng Jie, Yanzi and Li Na were to tennis. If Qin Guang participated in an F1 race and became a racing king like Schumacher, many young people in the country would also be interested in F1 racing. This was the effect of a star, and it was also the effect of patriotism. Obviously, Xan Qin's plan was to make him a darts star first. Now that she had basically succeeded, the next step was to continue to ferment the influence of this darts star. Then she would hold the National League tournament in his name. With the help of the star effect and the prize money, she would entice the youths who had nowhere else to put their attention on football and basketball. She would give them another choice and let more talents emerge through the darts league. At that time, Xan Qin's Thousand Invincibles sect would get more talents. Although it seemed like Qin Guang didn't gain anything, he would actually gain fame. More and more people liked darts. They didn't know anything about it, but they were addicted to it. Then, as the world's king of darts, his faith value would certainly increase. In addition, his fame would also maintain a steady stream of popularity among primary and middle school students all over the country. It had always been proven that the greater the fame, the more faith he would gain. Qin Guang actually had a lot of benefits, but he couldn't tell them about his faith value. Suddenly Qin Guang said, "I have a great idea." Xan Qin looked at him blankly. "Why?" "I want to set up a school." "A darts school?" Qin Guang shook his head. "Right, Qin International Stunt School." "Ah. I'll teach darts, racing, piano, tower, pencil sharpening, Kirin arm and pile drivers. I'll teach everything that I can. But no one knows how to sharpen a pencil. Also, what are Kirin arm and pile drivers? Shouldn't they go to Lanxiang to learn excavators?" "That's right. We'll put the last 3 aside for now. But there will be people who can learn darts, racing, piano and tower drivers. That's right, Xan Qin, you'll be the first head of the darts department of Chin International Stunt School. The monthly champion of the National Darts League for primary and middle school students will be the first batch of darts students. However, this crazy idea only existed in his mind for 30 seconds. It wasn't that he couldn't teach others, but that the time was not ripe yet. Not many normal parents would let their children waste their precious time in his weird school to learn these skills that looked beautiful but couldn't be used to make a living. That would be stupid. It was impossible for Qin Guang to teach others to be as good as him. The previous racing training class had already taught him a painful lesson. About an hour later, the car drove straight into a garden-style clubhouse. As soon as Qin Guang and Xan Qin got out of the car, they were welcomed by a group of middle-aged men. Both parties chatted as they ate, and it didn't take long before Qin Guang and Dragon Gate Express came to an agreement and signed the contract at lightning speed. The reason was simple. When Master Guang shook hands with this boss Long, he realized that this guy had inner force too. He was testing him. As expected, Xan Qin's so-called friend wasn't an ordinary person either. The scope of business of Dragon Gate Express was also very strange. They almost didn't deal with ordinary people. They were only responsible for escorting some extremely valuable items. For example, the Patek Philippe in his hands might barely qualify for delivery. According to this boss, they could also send nuclear reactors. Qin Guang just thought that he was bragging after drinking too much. People in the pugilistic world were really straightforward. They ate and drank. It was supposed to be a social gathering, but in less than half an hour, everyone had eaten until their stomachs burst. Before they could close the stall, a few MPVs drove up from outside. That's right, it was the commercial shooting team hired by Dragon Gate Express. Dragon Gate Express. Everything will be delivered. 10 minutes later, the most crudely produced commercial in history was announced. Qin Guang only had a few seconds of camera time. He stood in front of the temporary green screen, dressed in an ancient costume, and shouted the advertising slogan to the camera. To be honest, if it wasn't for my good looks, would this commercial really be aired? Qin Guang was dumbfounded. The efficiency was so high that it made one's hair stand on end. It was completely different from his impression of a commercial endorsement. He felt that something was wrong. The commercial director waved his hand casually. "Brother, just believe in my ability. For this scene, I'll squeeze in the special effects in front and back and make it look like a blockbuster. I'm indebted to Boss Long's trust. I won't let everyone down." Boss Long was also very satisfied with the director's honesty. Good. Do your best." Qin Guang patted the director's shoulder sympathetically. "I don't know how to say this, but I can only wish you good luck. If you screw it up, come to Wujing and find me to reshoot. I'm not particularly afraid of trouble." He could see that the director had the same thoughts as him. It was stupid to treat Dragon Gate Express as money. But you can't be compared to me. I'm the spokesperson that Xan Qin pulled over. I have a background and backing. If I screw it up, I'm not afraid of Boss Long's revenge. You're fooling people like this and you're fooling Boss Long who has inner strength. No matter how I look at you, it won't be long before the grass on your grave grows 3 feet high. But although he was panicking for him, Qin Guang could not say it out loud. The director's confidence was too loud. He could not even take down his stage on the spot. Forget it. Everyone has their own business. Let's go. The money came too quickly and too easily. It was like a dream. In less than 2 hours he had earned 10 million. Robbing a bank was not as comfortable as robbing a bank. It was like living in a dream. Take care everyone. It's been a pleasure working with you. See you next time. Boss Long waved at Qin Guang and Xan Qin's car and said goodbye enthusiastically. Qin Guang did not react until he sent them off. Xan Qin, who was beside him, was already happily flipping through the 10 million in her account. That's right, Boss Long transferred the money to Xan Qin. The car could not send Qin Guang to the workers' sports complex. The concert was very popular. There were even rumors on the internet that Jin Shiyue's boyfriend would be there as well, which added to the popularity of the concert. It was so crowded that it was difficult to move even 2 blocks away. Qin Guang decided to get out of the car and run there himself. He asked Xan Qin to get in the car and leave. Looking at her happy face, Qin Guang knew that her mind was already on the primary and secondary school league. He was free to go to the concert alone. After taking 2 steps, he shrunk his neck, covered his face and hid in the crowd. That's right. He saw Lin Jingwei and Gao Ye's group walking leisurely in front of him. If it was only Lin Jingwei, he would have gone up to greet him. But Bai Hua was there too. This was too scary. Chapter 529. Taking out a hat, sunglasses and mask from his sports bag, Qin Guang hid in the crowd while Lin Jingwei and the others slowly approached the workers' stadium. Gao Ye looked very excited and Lin Jingwei was also beaming with joy. Bai Hua, the third wheel, looked a little absent-minded. From time to time he would ask Lin Jingwei something, while Lin Jingwei would chat with him helplessly. There were also some people around them who seemed to be Lin Jingwei's high school classmates. They were already very familiar with Gao Ye and were chatting happily. If he hadn't promised Jiang Yage, Qin Guang would have turned around and run away. Although there was a huge difference between him and Qin Yu, if Bai Hua saw any signs of it, he would definitely go all out and fight him. Sister Zhou, I'm already outside the stadium. How do I get in now? I don't have a ticket. After Lin Jingwei and the others got into the crowd, Qin Guang called Jin Jiang and Yu's manager, Sister Zhou. Why are you so late? Sister Zhou's tone was slightly reproachful. I wanted you to interact with Shuriwei at the beginning of the competition, but you didn't come. They also didn't allow me to call you to rush you, so this segment was cut off. It's good that it's cut off. Qin Guang let out a long sigh of relief. Although he was already a famous person, interacting with people on the stage of the workers' stadium, which could accommodate tens of thousands of people, made him feel like he had to stammer. He wasn't right Qin anymore. Go to the back door of the stadium and wait there. I'll come out to pick you up. Shuriwei and Grace are busy with makeup, so I'm afraid I'll have to neglect you today. Unlike other managers who treated the boyfriends of their female artists as scourges, Sister Zhou quickly recognized her position after she tried to interfere with Jiang Yage's decision and almost went too far. As the saying goes, being in the king's company is like being with a tiger. Jin Jiang and Yu were usually at ease, but that was only because they hadn't met anyone or anything that they cared about. It was obvious that they cared about their savior, Qin Guang. Sister Zhou was very sensible. After waiting for about 10 minutes, Sister Zhou sneakily poked her head out from the back door. Here. Where will I be watching the concert later? Sister Zhou led Qin Guang inside and said, the VIP area. You can't see anything backstage. In fact, Qin Guang was looking forward to the backstage, but since he was not allowed to go, then forget it. I've already arranged a seat for you. It's the small bar counter in the first row of the VIP area. There should be some people there who know you. If someone comes up to greet you, make sure to pay attention to what they say. Don't cause trouble for Shuriwei, Sister Zhou couldn't help but say before she left. Qin Guang didn't argue with her. They didn't even know who was causing trouble for whom. Just when he sneakily sat down at the bar counter, he suddenly heard two familiar voices talking. Jingwei, no matter what, you have to help me this time. You should understand big brother Baihua. I've never been the kind of person who is easily moved outside. In the past, I liked Shuriwei because I watched her grow up and treated her like a younger sister. But now I've really thought it through. My feelings for Shuriwei isn't love, it's familial love. You're someone who has a girlfriend now, so you definitely understand the feeling of your heart thumping uncontrollably when you see someone. It's simply too wonderful, too unbelievable. Lin Jingwei said in a muffled voice, Brother Bai, it's not that I don't want to help you, but I've asked her. She really doesn't have that kind of feelings for you. A melon that's forcefully picked won't be sweet. How can you say that? We haven't even understood each other, so how would we know that we're not compatible? How can you be so arbitrary when it comes to relationships? I can't even eat well these days. Bai Hua was furious. Lin Jingwei looked at him quietly, thinking to himself, Brother Bai, you really don't need to understand this. It's just that your genders aren't compatible. That's just how arbitrary it is. Hey Lin Jingwei, can you help your brother Bai a little? He's so serious, and as a woman I can understand how he feels. I feel that if Brother Bai really likes Qin Yu, even if she doesn't feel anything at the beginning, she can still slowly get to know him better and develop feelings for him. If it really doesn't work out, then we'll talk about it again. At least we won't have any regrets. Gao Ye also added fuel to the fire. However, Qin Guang, who was familiar with the inside story, definitely knew that Gao Ye's words weren't that simple. There was a lot of meaning behind them and it was worth pondering over. Lin Jingwei silently turned his face to the side, hating a certain someone who left him in a mess and then left. Alright, Brother Guang said he wanted to come to the concert too. Where is he? Give him a call and ask. Wait, Brother Bai, didn't you say you wanted to see Qin Guang? I didn't dare let you two meet because I was afraid you two would fight. Now that you don't have any feelings for Jin Shuriwei, do you still want to see him? He said he would come today. Sometimes good brothers were used to betray each other and take the blame. Now that Lin Jingwei couldn't take it anymore, he decided to betray the culprit, Qin Guang. Hearing this, Bai Hua really forgot to ask about Qin Yu, and his expression became serious. Really? I want to see him not as Shiryue's suitor but as her brother. I need to have a good chat with this fellow who cut the queue. Hey, don't fight. Or else I won't make the appointment, Lin Jingwei said loudly. Bai Hua shook his head. Do I look like someone who likes to fight? That's true. Anyway, you can't beat him. I'll make the call now. Lin Jingwei said seriously. You're my little apple. Just when Lin Jingwei made the call, Qin Guang's phone, which was about to run away, rang. Damn it, I forgot to mute it. Qin Guang had already run out of the VIP area, but it was too late. Lin Jingwei pounced on him like a hungry tiger. Brother Guang. Don't move. I'll know it's you even if you turn into ashes. Damn it, are you crazy? Aren't you just making trouble for me? Qin Guang hid the Patek Philippe in his pocket behind Bai Hua and the others. He fiercely turned his head and stared at Lin Jingwei. Because of a woman, we'll end up in a fight to the death. What's more, Jin Shiryue and I aren't that kind of thing. Aren't you harming others? Lin Jingwei put his arm around Qin Guang's shoulder. Don't quibble. You know the situation better than me. Brother Xiao Bai can't fight with you for Jin Shiryue anymore. But seriously, if you don't help me take a bullet, I really won't be able to hold on. Brother Xiao Bai's matter is small, but Gao Ye's matter is big. I have to think of a way to change the topic. As a brother, you have to save me. Seeing that I've put in so much effort to help you, you really can't leave me in the lurch. In the end, Qin Guang was forcibly dragged by Lin Jingwei to their seats in the VIP area. For Jin Shiryue and Jiang Ye's concert, the price of the stage tickets was as high as 400 yuan, and the price of the interstage tickets was more than 81,000 yuan. As for the VIP seats in the front row, the market price was clearly in the thousands to tens of thousands, and it was the kind that had a price but no supply. To be able to have a table in this position, one had to be rich or noble. When Qin Guang was sitting on the other side, some people noticed him and wanted to come up and say hello to him. But when he was dragged by Lin Jingwei to Bai Hua's direction, those people who were eager to make trouble quieted down. Lin Jingwei's identity was not prominent, but Bai Hua was quite famous in the circle of young masters in Beijing. Everyone knew that he did not like to be disturbed by unfamiliar people. Brother Bai, I've brought him to you. Have a good chat, you guys have a good chat. Lin Jingwei put his arm around Qin Guang and sat down. Just like that, he sold Qin Guang out. Gao Ye, who was sitting on the side, gave Lin Jingwei a look and whispered in his ear, "Won't you cause trouble for Qin Guang? You will be angry, right?" Lin Jingwei shook his head. It's fine. With me here, there really won't be a fight. Bai Hua was still wearing his favorite white suit. He glanced at Qin Guang with a slightly restrained arrogance in his eyes. Although he was indeed unhappy with Qin Guang for the sake of Lin Jingwei, he restrained himself. Qin Guang, this is the second time we've met, right? Qin Guang looked at this person. When this person spoke, this person seemed to have purposely raised his nostrils. Although his words were calm, his tone was also normal. But at the same time he gave off a feeling of superiority. This guy is pressuring me, Qin Guang thought. If it had been a week or two ago, he would have flipped the table and gotten into a fight if he was treated with this kind of tone and manner. But now, after 100 years of experience in the Sea of Time, even if he had lived for 100 years as a game, Qin Guang had met many times more people than Bai Hua. Young man, in front of the old man, you're still a small fry. I've been giving in to you before, but don't expect me to get serious. Really, when I get serious, I'm so smart that even I'm afraid of myself. Slamming the table would obviously lower his status, so he smiled and said, I didn't expect Brother Bai to still remember me. When I was in dire straits, I was indebted to Brother Bai for helping me get through it. I'm very grateful. Bai Hua shook his head slightly. Don't thank me. I didn't do it to help you. It's all because of Jingwei. If you want to thank him, then it's fine. Qin Guang laughed. I've already thanked him many times. That's good. Bai Hua's attitude suddenly changed. He slammed the glass of wine in his hand onto the table with a loud bang. Lin Jingwei and Gao Ye, who had been paying attention to the two, felt their eyelids twitch. The show was about to start. At this moment, music suddenly rang out in the huge workers' stadium. Many youthful dancers ran out from behind the slowly rising curtains, and Jin Shiryue's unique crisp and sweet voice descended from the sky. Jin Shiryue was wearing a long white dress and stepping on a suspended ladder covered in white feathers. Countless artificial snowflakes fell from the sky. At this moment, Jin Shiryue was breathtakingly beautiful. Everyone stopped talking and turned to look at Jin Shiryue in the sky. Gao Ye cupped her hands and murmured, She's so beautiful. As a woman, I'm so envious. Lin Jingwei gently hugged her. It's okay. When we get married, I'll make you look even prettier than her. Bai Hua coughed lightly and gestured for Qin Guang to focus his attention back on him. See, Shirui is such a perfect girl. How can you be worthy of her? Qin Guang laughed. It's not up to you to say whether I'm worthy or not. I really don't understand why Shirui would like you. I admit that you have good qualities. Otherwise, Jingwei wouldn't have become friends with you. But from my point of view, you're just an internet celebrity who became famous through hype. Putting aside your family background, you're not even on the same level as her. Do you know how much effort she has put in for her music and movies? I've seen her practice dancing until she cramps. I've also seen her only sleep for 3 hours a day for 7 consecutive days just to memorize her lines. You're ruining her hard work by barging into her life. She's only 20 years old. For a female artist to be in a relationship at the age of 20, it's a huge sacrifice and pressure. Do you understand? You'll ruin her career. Bai Hua's tone gradually turned cold. Actually, Qin Guang understood what Bai Hua was saying. But now that things had turned out this way, it was out of his control. He wanted to tell Bai Hua that everyone was kept in the dark. Jin Shirui and I are innocent, okay? Lin Jingwei and Gao Ye smiled bitterly. If Qin Guang and Jin Shirui's relationship was real, then perhaps Bai Hua wasn't wrong. But that wasn't the case at all. Both of them were guessing how Qin Guang would answer. Was he going to tell Bai Hua the truth, or was he going to just accept the whole thing? Qin Guang suddenly laughed. How do you know that I'll be a burden to her? Bai Hua snorted through his nose. Shameless boasting. You don't understand Shirui's talent at all. Many people think that she and Grace relied on their background to get to where they are today. But if it weren't for their extraordinary efforts and amazing talent, do you think money and power alone could make them the beloved left and right hands of everyone? What a joke. If it wasn't for the fact that every time he saw Bai Hua's face, he would be reminded of Bai Hua's blushing face yesterday. Qin Guang would have punched him in the face already. This grandson's words are so King unpleasant. In fact, whether Jin Shirui liked him or not, Qin Guang didn't know. After all, it was Jiang Yage who seduced him. Jin Shirui was just a cover. However, Qin Guang was 100% sure that big brother Bai Hua liked him. What? Are you speechless? Forget it. Although I really don't understand what Shirui likes about you, this is her choice. As her brother, I can only support her. But I'm warning you, if you dare to betray Shirui, I, Bai Hua, will make you suffer. In short, Qin Guang, the current you can't bring any substantial help to Shirui's career. I hope you can act like a real man and take responsibility. Don't be a burden to Shirui and be someone useful to her. That's all I have to say. You're on your own now. Bai Hua seemed to have said enough. He slammed the table and didn't say anything else. Instead, he turned to look at the stage. Lin Jingwei hurriedly came over. Brother Bai Hua, don't be like this. I know Brother Guang very well. He's not that kind of person. As he spoke, Lin Jingwei desperately pinched Qin Guang's thigh, his eyes darting around. Gao Ye, who was next to him, also blinked, indicating to Qin Guang not to flip out. Both of them were unhappy with Bai Hua. They were friends of friends. Aren't you making things difficult for us? Qin Guang glared at Lin Jingwei as if he was going to eat him alive. The two brothers understood each other. If it weren't for you, I would have made this bastard bleed. Lin Jingwei secretly patted Qin Guang's shoulder. It's been hard on you. When we get back to school, I'll give you 3 months' worth of water as an apology. Chapter 530. Right at this moment, Bai Hua turned around and saw Lin Jingwei holding onto Qin Guang. He suddenly smiled and said, I'm sorry about that. My attitude was a little vile earlier, so please forgive me if I offended you. Please understand that I'm a brother's concern for his sister. When I was young, the children in the courtyard often beat me up for bullying Shirui. Jingwei also knows this. Qin Guang and Lin Jingwei were speechless as they looked at Bai Hua. Are you crazy? You want to beat us up and give us candy? You're really bored. Qin Guang smiled insincerely and humphed. I thank you for your concern on behalf of my girlfriend. But in the future, I'll take care of her matters. Ah, don't be like this. Bai Hua shrugged indifferently. I, Bai Hua, am not someone who goes back on his words. Once a word is said, it's impossible to go back on it. Besides, Jingwei also knows what I'm really thinking right now, right? Jingwei, you know who I want to find the most right now, right? Lin Jingwei and Qin Guang silently drew a small circle in their hearts. We know, but we don't want to know. This matter is hard to say, but it's absolutely true. Qin Guang came over to talk nonsense with Bai Hua, but in the end he didn't manage to save Lin Jingwei. After this traitor acted cool, he began to pull Lin Jingwei again. He either beat around the bush or directly asked about Qin Yu. Obviously he had already eaten a heavy weight. If Lin Jingwei didn't hand over the person, he wouldn't be able to live in peace for the rest of his life. Lin Jingwei was miserable and Qin Guang felt like he was sitting on pins and needles. Gaoya sat between Qin Guang and Lin Jingwei. As a woman, she was very observant and felt that there was something wrong with Qin Guang. Wasn't he interrogating Lin Jingwei's Qin Yu matter with brother Xiaobai? Why did you, Qin Guang, look even more nervous than Lin Jingwei? You don't even know where to put your hands. Hey Qin Guang, do you really have something going on with Jin Shiyue? What are you so nervous about? Gaoya, the carefree woman, didn't hide anything. She pulled Qin Guang's ear and started to whisper to him. Qin Guang moved to the side. Stay away from me. Aren't you afraid that little Linny will get jealous? Why would he be jealous? Besides, he might be jealous of others, but why would he be jealous of you? You're right. Why did I change the topic? You're not right. Something must be wrong. I don't care. If you really dare to act with Jin Shiyue, I won't let you off. Rolling his eyes, Qin Guang replied, I want to, but will she take a liking to me? Maybe not. Lin Jingwei told me last night that you're poisonous and even asked me to stay away from you. Then why did you say that he can't be jealous of me? This isn't jealousy. This is called guarding against thieves. You're the thief. Your whole family is a thief. Fortunately, the performance of the concert itself was very wonderful. Jin Shiyue and Jiang Yage prepared 5 new songs, all of which were the kind of fine works that could be used to hit the charts. Coupled with gorgeous dance and shocking sound effects, the atmosphere of the concert was pushed to the peak again and again. Even Qin Guang, the fake boyfriend and real fan, was very engrossed in the performance. Time flew by. About an hour later, the concert was halfway through. Next, it was time for the 3 special guests. Jin Shiyue and Jiang Yage had a rare 10-minute break. Before the 2 of them left the stage, Sister Zhou quietly ran over to look for Qin Guang. It was Jiang Yage's order to call Qin Guang backstage. She didn't expect Qin Guang to be sitting with Bai Hua. She felt a little awkward. Boss Bai, what a coincidence. Sister Zhou had been Bai Hua's manager for 10 years. She knew that Bai Hua and Jin Shiyue were close. She even knew that Bai Hua had publicly and secretly expressed his love for Jin Shiyue in some small circle. But now they only called Qin Guang over. This was very embarrassing. Sister Zhou, what's the matter? Bai Hua first looked at Qin Guang, then at Sister Zhou. Sister Zhou said with a bitter face, well, Shiyue asked Mr. Qin to go backstage. She wailed in her heart. Why is my life so bitter? I'm so troubled. On the other hand, Qin Guang stood up. He no longer wanted to sit beside Bai Hua. He wasn't afraid of Bai Hua's posturing, but he was afraid of the name Qin Yu coming out of Bai Hua's mouth. Just hearing it once would make him feel uncomfortable, and hearing it too many times would make his heart, liver, spleen, stomach and kidney ache. Then brother Bai Shaolin Xiaoya, I'm going over. Qin Guang walked backstage. Gaoya spat, what Xiaoya? Don't give me random nicknames. Sister Zhou was still standing there looking at Bai Hua. She wanted to leave but didn't dare to. Qin Guang and Lin Jingwei were speechless. Big sis, if you know that Bai Hua is feeling uncomfortable, don't just stand there and stab him. Go, it's fine. Qin Guang is Shiyue's boyfriend, and it's not good for others to misunderstand you like this. Bai Hua gritted his teeth, but he still managed to suppress his temper and waved Sister Zhou away. After Sister Zhou left with Qin Guang, Lin Jingwei let out a long sigh. I have to deal with Qin Yu all by myself again. Gaoya also sighed. Qin Guang, please don't make it real. Bai Hua's sigh infected the 2 of them. Luckily I found my true love. Otherwise Zhou Yun's lungs would explode. Jingwei, I've never asked you for anything. Lin Jingwei silently wiped away his tears. Brother Guang, hurry up and come back to save me. This is King Endless. I can't take it anymore. Qin Guang's appearance caused a small commotion in the crowded backstage. However, everyone was busy, so they only gave him a meaningful smile. No one tried to get close to him. Some were jealous, some were envious, some had hidden anger in their smiles, and some had fake blessings in their smiles. Qin Guang just smiled calmly. I know you guys are very concerned about my relationship with Jin Shiyue, but I'm too lazy to explain it to you guys. I'm not familiar with you guys. After passing through the long passageway and passing by one studio after another, Qin Guang felt something was wrong when he opened a curtain and entered the backstage world. There were both men and women among the staff members who were busy working outside, but it was like 2 different worlds separated by a curtain. Did I travel through time and enter Womanland? As far as the eye could see, All he could see were fair thighs, slender and beautiful. Or, there were arms that were waving in all directions. It was a beautiful sight to behold. In the huge changing hall, dozens of young and beautiful girls wearing only bikinis and even the most protective chest patches were either nervously changing clothes or sitting in front of the mirror to touch up their makeup. Some of them were even stretching their ligaments in a very shameful manner. Chen Guang felt that he was too busy to take advantage of them. Holy land. This was a man's paradise. These were all female dancers. In just 5 seconds, Chen Guang had taken advantage of all of them by relying on his shocking reaction and memory. After that, he turned around and walked out of the curtain. Sister Zhou, don't harm me. This is the changing room. First take advantage of others, then protect his image. This was the core survival method of a young man in the new era. Sister Zhou hurriedly followed. Unsure if it was intentional or not, she had an apologetic expression. Sorry. I was too busy and forgot. Then, how am I going to go over now? Let them wear their clothes? Qin Guang put on a straight face. No need. A portion of the dancers will have to change their clothes and go on stage. Those who can't wear it just face the wall and go over. All right, I will listen to you. The Sister Zhou is a liar. Looking at the row of large mirrors on the wall, wouldn't he be able to see everything by facing the wall? Qin Guang felt that he must have been scammed. Isn't this Sister Shiyue's boyfriend, Brother Quan Quan? He really came? I thought the internet was lying. He is more handsome in person than on TV. He seems to be very shy. So cute. The girls behind him chattered incessantly. From time to time, laughter could be heard. It was like the dog's tail grass tickling his earlobes. It made Qin Guang's whole body go numb. His mind was floating and he almost forgot who he was, where he came from and why he was here. In the past, he didn't believe that the girls in the entertainment industry were as bold and unrestrained as the rumors said. But today he almost believed it. He must try to get the contact information of a few good sisters. In fact, there were some girls who felt dissatisfied and used their clothes to cover their bodies. But people will always be infected by the environment. Among the dozens of girls, at least half of them didn't take it seriously. Of course, none of them were completely naked. They just treated it as if they were wearing swimsuits in the pool. It wasn't really that embarrassing, so they simply didn't care. Besides, he is Jin Shiyue's boyfriend. Would he look up to vulgar girls like us? Didn't he see others awkwardly facing the wall and moving towards Jin Shiyue and Jiang Yage's resting room like crabs? What a pure and innocent little boy. So people were fundamentally different. Qin Guang's mind was filled with lasciviousness, but others felt that he was very innocent, so they didn't have their guard up. If he wanted to blame someone, he could only blame Qin Guang's heart for being too impure and too restless. Sister Shiyue, look at his silly look. It's so cute. Look at his pants. Let's see how he's going to hide later. Jiang Yage put her eyes on the crack of the door and turned to laugh at Jin Shiyue behind her. Jin Shiyue smacked her butt. That's enough. Why do you have to prank others? Don't you feel embarrassed? Jiang Yage laughed. No, don't you think it's very interesting? How is it interesting? Hurry up and put on your clothes. He's coming over. Actually, it really wasn't Sister Zhou who wanted to trick Qin Guang. This matter was basically Jiang Yage's bad idea. With great difficulty, they finally moved into Jin Shiyue and Jiang Yage's resting room. The two girls were already sitting in front of the dressing table to touch up their makeup as if nothing had happened. Outside, many girls who were not so busy gathered together and muttered. Of course, the topic revolved around Qin Guang, their goddess boyfriend. Perhaps it was because their goddess boyfriend had a natural beauty halo. Everyone unanimously agreed that Qin Guang was a handsome guy. I really envy Sister Shiyue. Brother Qin Guang is really talented. I've been following his Weibo for a long time. At that time he always wore a mask. We didn't know who he was. Little girl is in heat. If you have the guts, go and snatch him. If you win against Sister Shiyue, all of us sisters will support you. Seeing how you guys are talking so warmly, I keep feeling that something is wrong. Brother All-Rounder is very handsome, but being handsome can't be used to make a living. Now that the matter has just come out, it's still okay. It doesn't seem to have much impact. But I keep feeling that as time goes on, Sister Shiyue's acting career will be affected sooner or later. No matter what he has achieved in other fields, it's useless. In our line of work, it seems like he only played a small role once? Didn't you guys say that he will be acting in Big Beard Dang's new film soon? Don't talk about this. Just mentioning this matter makes me sweat for him. When he was filming The Country, I also played a small role at the scene. On a hot day, many people wore thick armor and followed him for a few hours, but still couldn't shoot a set of 30 seconds of scenes. It made everyone angry. But later on, I don't know why, but he suddenly had an epiphany. In any case, he managed to get one by a fluke. I'm not from an acting school, but I saw his acting at that time. It's at the level of destroying heaven and earth. Assistant Yang was so angry that he almost cried. What do you mean by destroying heaven and earth? It's a big scene with a few hundred people. As long as he shows his face, he can destroy the entire scene. It's that exaggerated? Is that exaggerated? Then I don't think that the two of them will be a good couple. I heard that he is only a university student. You guys say that he is not in the industry, and his position seems to be quite vague. In the eyes of 1,000 people, there are 1,000 Hamlets. Everyone will have different views on the same matter. Chen Guang couldn't care less about the rumors outside. He was smiling and greeting the people in the resting room. You're here? I still have 2 minutes here. Take a seat first. Jean Shuiyue smiled very sweetly. At this time, there were 2 makeup artists in the resting room. In front of outsiders, she was Chen Guang's girlfriend. Chen Guang wasn't in a hurry. He sat down with his legs crossed. It's fine. You guys go ahead. As he spoke, he quietly took out a Patek Philippe from his pocket and put it on. One lie had to be followed by countless lies. Chen Guang used his bloody lesson to teach everyone that they had to be honest, or they would tire themselves to death. On the other side, Jiang Yage suddenly burst into laughter. What are you laughing at? Jean Shuiyue was drawing someone's eyebrows and asked without turning her head. Jiang Yage only laughed. She was too embarrassed to say that she saw Chen Guang in the mirror. She quietly put her hand into her trouser pocket and moved one of the tent poles askew so that it wouldn't be so conspicuous. After waiting for a few minutes, the two of them finished their makeup. The guest singer outside was only halfway through singing, and there were still a few minutes to rest. Jean Shuiyue took Jiang Yage's hand and walked up together. Did you like the song we sang today? Jean Shuiyue's eyes curved into crescent moons as she put on a sweet act. Chen Guang nodded. I like it. It was very nice and the stage effect was great. I was very fascinated. Jiang Yage looked at the two of them who were treating each other with respect. She felt that something was wrong. Why did it look like a meeting between the leaders of the United Nations? This wasn't how a normal couple should interact. It was very suspicious, okay? It was fine if it was just the 3 of them in the room, but there were 2 makeup artists beside them. They had to act well. Brother-in-law, didn't you realize that the song we sang just now, The Brightest Light in the Night Sky, had a deeper meaning? Jiang Yage suddenly said. What? A new song? It's very nice and it feels very ethereal. That was specially written for you by Sister Shuiyue. I wrote the lyrics and Sister Shuiyue composed the music. Aren't you going to give Sister Shuiyue a kiss of love to encourage her? Jiang Yage smiled mischievously. Jean Shuiyue's face instantly turned red. She shyly pinched Jiang Yage's waist. Don't talk nonsense. There are outsiders here. The makeup artist at the side also joined in. Sister Shuiyue, don't say that. We'll be so sad. You guys are a couple. We also feel that brother-in-law should reward you with a kiss. 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 Jiang Yage pulled the other 2 to join in. Chen Guang looked at Jiang Yage from the corner of his eyes. Is there something wrong with you? I feel that you're too much. Do you really want to make it real? Then what about you? You send me big pictures every day. Where do you think you are? Chapter 531. Alright, that's enough. You guys are still in the middle of a concert. Don't talk about these things. Chen Guang didn't want to care about Jiang Yage jeering even if he was beaten to death. He felt so awkward. He didn't expect that Jiang Yage wouldn't let him off so easily. Instead, she desperately winked at him, hinting that there were 2 makeup artists watching them from behind. Brother-in-law, you can't say it like that. Sister Shuiyue and I have been preparing for this concert for more than half a month. Everything that should be prepared has been prepared perfectly. Now, the most important thing in the few minutes of intermission is to adjust her mood and state. As Sister Shuiyue's boyfriend, if you don't give her an encouraging kiss, then what if Sister Shuiyue's heart is down and her mood is affected when she goes on stage later? Isn't that your fault? Jean Shuiyue blushed and pinched Jiang Yage's waist again and again, asking her to restrain herself. Chen Guang rolled his eyes madly. Are you really not done? Do you really think I don't dare to? I'm not at a disadvantage. Don't force me. Chen Guang was so annoyed by Jiang Yage that his heart was burning with evil fire. Alright, you're the one who forced me to pretend to be real. Anyway, I've been a scapegoat on the internet for a long time. If I don't really take advantage of you, I'm not worthy of my reputation as a cheap boyfriend. Alright, I'll kiss you then. I'm a man, why would I be shy? As he said that, he turned around and gently hugged Jin Shiryue, who was next to him. Jin Shiryue's whole body trembled, and her body stiffened as if she was enchanted. Her face was also a little frightened. Although she and Qin Guang were so high profile on the internet, it was all for others to see. She didn't think that there would be a day when she would really be hugged by Qin Guang. Her breathing gradually quickened, and a touch of redness slowly surged under her beautiful makeup. But Jin Shiryue didn't completely indulge in it. Instead, she secretly glanced at Jiang Yage's expression next to her. She saw that Jiang Yage stood aside with her hands clasped over her heart. A pair of beautiful big eyes stared at the air between Qin Guang and Jin Shiryue. Her eyes were filled with envy and jealousy. Jin Shiryue silently pinched Jiang Yage's hand. Who asked you to make a fuss? Now that he really wants to kiss me, you're here to complain and envy. Isn't this your doing? Jiang Yage was also a little dumbfounded, watching from the side. She didn't expect that Qin Guang would really want to kiss Jin Shiryue. She just wanted to change the atmosphere a little so that the two people wouldn't make it seem like a meeting between the leaders of the country. Otherwise, the two makeup artists would notice something was wrong and go out to gossip. A lot of gossip in the entertainment industry was secretly exposed by these small staff who stayed by the artist's side. It wasn't easy for a youth idol to make their relationship public. But once it was made public, if people suspected that they were acting, the impact would be even worse. At this time, Qin Guang didn't think so much in his mind. He just looked at Jin Shiryue's evasive eyes and her blushing face, which was really like a beautiful picture. He had seen Jin Shiryue's beautiful face countless times on TV or on the internet. It wasn't that there weren't people who were as close to each other as they were now when they were together. But now was different from the past. Qin Guang's state of mind was completely different from the past. In the past, no matter how close they were, he didn't think of kissing her. But at this moment, looking at the cherry-red lips so close, and the way she gradually closed her misty eyes, allowing him to do whatever he wanted, Jin Shiryue's beauty was further magnified. Like a storm sweeping through his heart, like a spring rain teasing his heart, just like a demon walking in the human world, Jin Shiryue's face slowly devoured Qin Guang's reserved and rational mind. He secretly took a deep breath, slightly widened his eyes, and slowly lowered his head, aiming at Jin Shiryue's lips. They kissed. Their four lips crossed the barrier of identity and the interference of the third wheel, Jiang Yage, and stuck together fiercely. Jin Shiryue's breathing and heartbeat seemed to have stopped at that moment. She felt as if her soul was being sucked away from her lips. Jiang Yage's body tightened into a ball, regretting so much that her intestines turned green. I'm trapped in a cocoon of my own making. I really wish that the person who was kissed by him was me. I'm so stupid, so regretful. Sister Shiryue, what are you doing? Staring blankly, Jiang Yage actually saw a red cloud sweeping up from below Jin Shiryue's neck, causing her whole body to be suffused with a red light. What was even more excessive was that she unconsciously let out a murmur from her nose. Her hands actually hugged Qin Guang's back from behind, caressing his back randomly. That's enough. The two of you are enough. Acting to this extent was already more than enough. Qin Guang was much more clear-headed than Jin Shiryue. He only thought, her lips are really soft, just like the cotton candy he ate when he was young, soft and moist. This is the goddess's lips that thousands of fans in the country dream of, and now I'm kissing it tightly. Forget it, although things turned out to be a little strange and I feel a little sorry for her, but the feeling is really good, very comfortable. Unexpectedly, he felt a slight scratching pain on his back. Jin Shiryue, who was hugging him, was using even more strength, and her body was fiercely pressing against him. Her tall and plump breasts carried the youthful aura of a 20-year-old girl, extremely oppressive. Even through the 3 layers of clothes between the two of them, the feeling was still so clear. What's this situation? Big sister, aren't we acting? That's enough. It's already in place. At this moment, a soft and moist lilac tongue suddenly burrowed out from between Jin Shiryue's lips, actually pried open his lips and probed into his mouth. This was King Terrible. Cough cough cough. Cough 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 cough. At this moment, Jiang Yage coughed violently. She had been holding it in for a long time. She couldn't hold it in anymore. Jin Shiryue suddenly woke up, the misty look in her eyes receding like the tide. She realized that she might have gone too far, quickly covered her face, pushed Qin Guang away and shrunk to the side. Sorry, I lost control a little. I've never filmed a kissing scene. I don't have much experience. No one knew who she was apologizing to. Perhaps only Jiang Yage and Qin Guang understood a little. The makeup artists on the side were very excited and applauded. One more, one more. No, it's a concert. Chen Guang took advantage of others, subconsciously felt guilty and continuously waved his hand. Jiang Yage pouted, took out a beautiful box from her bag and stuffed it into Chen Guang's hand. Here, we asked Master Jamie Laurent to make this watch strap in Australia, remember to wear it when you go back. She didn't want to admit it, but she was really jealous. She just wanted to do something to adjust Chen Guang's emotions after the kiss as soon as possible. Chen Guang took the watch strap, blushing and chuckled, I'll change it now, I'll change it now. At this moment there was a sudden loud noise, it sounded very frightening. Everyone was shocked. Something happened. Chapter 532. Sister Zhou, what's wrong? Disregarding the fact that there were still many dancers changing outside, Jean Shirue, who had just recovered from her shyness, abruptly opened the door of the break room and walked out. Perhaps she was trying to escape from something. Jiang Yage's brows were tightly furrowed. They had prepared for this concert for a long time and attached great importance to it. She didn't want any accidents to happen at this time. Chen Guang didn't think too much about it and hurriedly ran out. The crowd didn't understand the situation until they reached the outermost hall backstage. Zhou Yun's face was so gloomy that it could drip water. Something happened. Just now, after the last group of guests finished their performance, our two pianists tripped and fell down the aisle. It seems like He Lin tripped first and fell down the stairs with Qi Jingyue. What? Did they fall badly? As soon as Jean Shirue asked this, she felt that it was unnecessary. The commotion was so loud that the entire backstage could hear it. The two of them must have been seriously injured. Jean Shirue said, let's hurry up and take a look. Don't hurt them. The crowd walked forward like the stars surrounding the moon. As soon as they reached the staircase, Chen Guang felt that there was no need to ask any more questions. These two old fellows must have had 8 lifetimes of bad luck. They rolled from the top of the stairs to the bottom of the staircase, and then rolled into a ball against the wall. Not only were their heads broken and bleeding, but they were also curled up in a corner with one hand covering the other in pain. The medical staff gave the two a simple examination, then shook their heads and stood up. They can't perform on stage. Mr. He and Mr. Qi both have a certain degree of joint sprain. As for whether there are any fractures, we'll have to check further. Zhou Yun's face was livid. But the concert is only halfway through. There are at least 7 more songs that need piano accompaniment. What should we do? Do we have a backup pianist? Zhou Yun asked as she pulled over the person in charge of the concert organization. The man was so scared that his face was pale. I didn't expect this to happen. He Lin and Qi Jingyue are the best pianists our company can find. There are other pianists near the company, but the traffic is very bad. I'm afraid they won't make it in time. Then what should we do? Are we going to change the sound system and give up on the live accompaniment? Zhou Yun turned her head and asked Jean Shirue. However, Jean Shirue shook her head. No, 3 of the remaining 7 songs are new. Although the other 4 are old songs, they have been rearranged. We just made adjustments to 2 of them yesterday. We didn't prepare a sound source for the studio's sound quality. Besides, if we change the sound source at the last minute, all the other accompaniment will have to be abandoned, and the effect of the whole concert will be messed up. Can't you ask backstage if any of the performers know how to play the piano? Let's just find 2 people to replace them, Chen Guang suggested. Jiang Yage shook her head fiercely. That won't do. This is a live performance. We have to ensure the effect. We can't just let anyone take over. Although our songs aren't very difficult, we haven't practiced them before. How can we let others take over directly? Then what should we do now? The group was in a dilemma. However, He Lin and Qi Jinyue's injuries weren't light, so they couldn't be delayed. The entertainment company arranged for them to be sent to the hospital. The 2 musicians wanted to bite the bullet, but when everyone saw that their wrists were swollen like thighs, no one dared to let them do it. The last song of the special guest was rock and roll. The prelude had already started, and the next song would be the piano accompaniment. Time was running out. What happened? Just as everyone was having a headache, the well-informed Bai Hua rushed over with Lin Jingwei and the others. Brother Bai Hua, why are you here? When Jean Shirue saw Bai Hua, she was a little shocked. However, she maintained her composure and held on to Chen Guang's hand. Bai Hua's eyelids twitched and his heart bled. Shirue, don't be like this. I wish you happiness. I've also found my true love. Don't be so guarded against me. With a bitter face, Zhou Yun explained the sudden situation to Bai Hua. No matter how young Bai Hua was, it was obvious that he couldn't magically summon a pianist who could take the blame. Chen Guang looked at Jin Shuiwei and Jiang Yage's anxious and angry faces, and his heart ached for them. It's over, it's all over. Chen Guang put his hand on Lin Jingwei's shoulder and said in an extremely anxious tone. Lin Jingwei turned his head and looked at Chen Guang for a long time. Brother Guang, are you stupid? Ah. If I remember correctly, didn't you give a piano concert before? Didn't you play the world's 10 most difficult songs as if you were playing a game? Although you were wearing a mask at that time, I knew it was you. Ah, that's true. That's right. I can do it. Little Lin, you're so smart. It's not that I'm smart, it's that you're too stupid. Alright, watch me. Chen Guang waved his hand and pushed Lin Jingwei away. He stood in the middle of the crowd and raised his hands. Everyone don't panic. I'll do it. What? Everyone turned to look at him in unison, and the atmosphere in the room suddenly froze. It was quiet for more than 10 seconds, and then everyone turned their heads back as if nothing had happened. Why don't we try to find someone in the audience who knows how to play? No, that's impossible. Let's change the song at the last minute and change it to sound accompaniment. The effect is just a little bit worse. We can add a conversation and interaction segment. If we cut one song, the fans shouldn't have too much of an opinion. We can let Mr. Chen interact with Shuiwei on the stage, talk about love, and talk about his future plans. That's not a good idea. Chen Guang stared at these guys. None of them took him seriously. He was so angry that his face turned green and white. The old man's piano god statue is right in front of me. How dare you ignore me? How dare you ignore the piano god? Ignore the greatest pianist in history? He slammed the table again. Hey, I'm serious. At this moment, Jiang Yage suddenly remembered. Hey, right, isn't brother-in-law very good at playing the piano? It's difficult to find someone else at the last minute, but brother-in-law should be able to do it, right? We're really in the dark. Zhou Yun was put in a difficult position. Yage, don't joke around. Mr. Chin only knows a little. No, he doesn't know a little. Says Zhou, you haven't seen him live or followed his videos. Let me put it to you this way. Brother-in-law is a master in the piano. A real master, perhaps even better than those who have won international awards. It's just that he has never participated in any international competitions before and doesn't have any awards in the piano field. Jiang Yage argued for Chen Guang. Jin Shuiwei also nodded and walked over to hold Chen Guang's hand. Yage is not talking nonsense. Darling has held a live concert before. Although it was only broadcast on a local station, it had a great impact on the international music industry. Can he really do it? Zhou Yun wavered. Chapter 533. The person in charge of the entertainment company acted quickly. He had already opened his phone and started searching. He slapped his thigh and said, Hey, why didn't I think of it? Shuyua's boyfriend is Chen Guang. Chen Guang is an all-rounder. Brother all-rounder, do you remember the comment below the video you uploaded for the first time? You even replied to me. I'm one of your first fans. If it's you, there won't be a problem. But some of our songs require 2 pianos. Even if Mr. Chen can fill in, we're still lacking one person. If it's just one piano, the performance will be affected, Zhou Yun said. Chen Guang waved his hand nonchalantly. It doesn't matter. If it's necessary, I can play 2 pianos by myself. Everyone's eyes widened. You're going too far with your bragging. Who the hell can play 2 pianos by themselves? This is concert accompaniment, not acrobatics. This won't work, right? I know people have performed like this before, but those were specially adapted songs. Our accompaniment is a normal song that requires 2 hands to play a piano at the same time. You don't have 4 hands, so it won't work. It really won't work. Zhou Yun shook her head like a rattled drum. The others did the same. Seeing everyone's disbelief, Chen Guang just smiled silently. To be honest, I like how you bunch of frogs at the bottom of a well think that the old man is bragging, but when the time comes, you have no choice but to obediently kneel to him. Everyone, since it's come to this, it seems like we don't have any other choice. Let's not talk about these useless things. Set up the 2 pianos for me. Won't we know if it's a donkey or a horse? How about this? I'll make a military pledge. If I really screw it up today, I'll publish an apology in the papers tomorrow. How about that? Chen Guang said very seriously. A successful concert required a large group of people to work together. Chen Guang understood their scruples and hesitation. This was also the hard work of all of them. Of course they would be overcautious. If he really messed it up, he would be letting down all of them. Although he was full of confidence in the eyes of others, It was indeed very difficult for one person to play two pianos and ensure a perfect performance. This was just like the World Championship of darts. Before he appeared, who would have believed that someone could shoot anywhere he wanted from dozens of meters away? Just do as Qin Guang says. No one had much time to hesitate. Jin Shuiyue stood up for her man, and made the decision. Her thoughts were very clear. Regardless of whether Qin Guang could do it or not, since they were a couple in front of outsiders, she had to play the role of a little woman and trust her man unconditionally. Even if he really messed it up, they would shoulder it together. Jiang Yage nodded heavily. That's right. Sister Zhou, quickly arrange for someone to help brother-in-law put on makeup and change his clothes. Oh right, let brother-in-law take a look at the score in advance. There's only 5 minutes left. There were many things that needed to be communicated urgently. Jin Jiang and Bai Hua chose to trust Qin Guang unconditionally and went to do their own things. Qin Guang, this is Shuyue's first large-scale concert in Beijing after she became famous. You're the one who insisted on showing off. If you mess it up. Bai Hua was still a little worried. He could not drag Lin Jingwei away, so he had to run to Qin Guang, who was in the middle of putting on makeup. Qin Guang did not even raise his head. His eyes quickly scanned the score. Brother Xiaobai, you don't have to worry about this. I'm much more concerned about my woman's matters than you are. You should just sit down and be a good audience. I thank you on behalf of the two of us. Originally, he did not want to use Jin Shuiyue's name to flaunt his affection, but Brother Xiaobai was really annoying in this aspect. Brother Xiaobai, I have something to say to you very seriously. Shuyue is my girlfriend. As a man, I really don't like it when my girlfriend has a brother who is not related to her. You know what I mean, you understand. Childhood friends, best buddies, I can understand that. After all, who doesn't have friends? But a true friend should understand that you shouldn't do things that make things difficult for her, right? He put down the score and said calmly, regardless of whether Shuyue's boyfriend is me or someone else, you have to be clear about this matter. Brother Xiaobai, you're the CEO of a big company. You should be able to understand this kind of simple worldly wisdom, right? As he said this, Qin Guang thought to himself, if I didn't know that the person you like is another me, if I didn't know that Jin Shuiyue and I aren't a true couple, if it wasn't for little Lin mediating between us, I would have beaten you up every time I see you. Bai Hua's heart, liver, spleen, stomach, and kidneys were all uncomfortable after being reprimanded by Qin Guang. Although he knew that Qin Guang was right, how many people dared to speak to him like this after so many years? Lin Jingwei saw that the situation was not good and quickly came forward. All right. Stop torturing me. Can you be more magnanimous? Brother Xiaobai, let's go. Let him read the score alone. Time is too tight. All right, I have important information to report. It's related to Chen Yu. What? Let's go. Qin Guang was silent for a long time as he looked at the back of the two leaving quickly. Sigh, in the end, I still have to rely on my beauty to snatch a woman from others. The rock music outside gradually stopped, and the audience gradually recovered from the excitement of the music. But soon, everyone began to cheer Jin Shuiyue and Jiang Yage's names in unison. Next would be the first time the two would perform their new songs in public. Naturally, the audience was looking forward to it. The others were already in position. Qin Guang finally tidied up a little. The makeup artist was so tired that he was sweating profusely. Fortunately, Mr. Qin has a good foundation. His facial features are very regular. All we need to do is slightly brighten up his face and he will be on camera. I appreciate an honest person like you. Qin Guang smiled. He picked up the iPad and walked out. Zhou Yun led the way in front of him. She was still a little worried. Mr. Qin, is it going to be okay? Before stepping onto the stage, Qin Guang turned around and looked at Zhou Yun. Of course it's going to be okay. Looking at his handsome back, Zhou Yun could only roll her eyes. Anyway, the two pianos have been arranged according to your instructions. If you really act like a donkey, I will remove your millstone. I will fight it out with you. On the huge stage, Jin Shuiyue and Jiang Yage wore a black and white feather dress respectively. They stood back to back. They were surrounded by 16 dancers in blue chiffon dresses. On the stage behind them, the accompaniment band was waiting. For this concert, not only did the two of them train hard for more than a month, but the band members also trained even harder than Jin Shuiyue and Jiang Yage. But at this time they were very flustered. They had just found out that He Lin and Qi Jinhua had been accidentally injured, but at this time, there were still two pianos placed in the middle of the stage. However, when the curtain changed, the two pianos had been placed side by side to face each other. In the middle was a round swivel stool, and on the stool sat a man hidden in the shadows. Who is this? I haven't seen him even once during the group practice. Could it be that today is the first time he saw the music score? With two pianos placed like this, could it be that he wants to play two by himself? This is too childish. Jingwei, I have already made up my mind. If he messes up, I will spend 50 million to start a media company. I will use different ways to defame him every day. I will defame him full-time. Bai Hua sat on the VIP seat with his legs crossed. He looked at the dark stage and hummed. Brother Bai, you have changed. Oh, did you say that Qinyu is really from the northeast? She likes to eat scallion sauce? Bai Hua changed the topic. Lin Jingwei nodded. Yes. She also said that she has a strong personality and doesn't like to adapt to other people's lifestyle. Bai Hua gritted his teeth. Fine. I will try to learn to eat scallion sauce when I go back tonight. This is true love. You two stop chatting. It's starting. In a sense, Gaoya was the real fan of this table. As the music started, Jin Shuiwe sang in a low voice. Swan Lake under the moonlight. I bring it to everyone. I hope everyone will like it. As soon as Jin Shuiwe's voice fell, the melodious sound of the accordion quickly cut in, and Jiang Yage began to sing warmly with her unique crisp, oriole-like singing voice. Jin Shuiwe and Jiang Yage had worked together for many years. They both had their own styles. Jiang Yage's voice was clear and resounding. She had a unique voice in the upper register. Jin Shuiwe's voice was sweet and gentle. She was known as the king of the country's young singers. Both of their voices were very recognizable, and when paired together, they could bring the listener's ears into a wonderful auditory experience without any blind spots. Although their songs were often said to be catchy songs that lacked depth and were catchy, no one could deny that they were really good. When it came to music, it couldn't be bad. Art that could be loved by the people couldn't be bad art. The ordinary audience only knew that the two were in good condition today and that they were singing well. However, the insiders clenched their fists and waited for the chorus nervously. Even if Chen Guang really could play like the rumors said, he had only seen the score and had never practiced it before. Therefore the audience was not sure. Finally, when the song cut into the chorus, the crisp sound of a piano suddenly cut in. Zhou Yun, who had clenched her fists, and the people from the entertainment company immediately let out a long sigh of relief. Thank goodness it didn't seem to be that bad. His music was extremely precise, not rushing for a single minute or a second more. He was always able to play the right note at the right time. The first song only needed a single piano accompaniment. Chen Guang was able to cut in at the right time with only the score and no practice. He had never worked with a band before, but he was able to perfectly match the rhythm of the others. This was already a big surprise. It was not easy. How could they know that for the super player who could play as long as he had the score and the strongest bard, Rai Qin, who was famous in the instantaneous ocean, this was not a problem at all. Admittedly, his piano sound was extremely lacking in personal style. However, this was Jin Zhang's concert, not his solo performance. There was no need for personal style. All he needed to do was to accurately follow every note like a machine. The music gradually stopped and the lights gave the band a close-up. Chen Guang didn't have time to care. Instead, he took advantage of the little time left to sweep his eyes over the iPad in front of him. The next song had nothing to do with him, but the song after that was the accompaniment of two pianos. The real challenge had just begun. Chapter 534. Mozart's Autumn. Just from the name, one could tell that this song was mainly composed of piano music. This wasn't a new song, but the title song of the album of the same name released by the sisters 2 years ago. It was a super hot song that dominated the charts for 38 weeks. The entire piano part of the song was a combination of 12 classic works by Mozart. Moreover, the two women and many masters had meticulously crafted the connecting parts. It could be considered a perfect connection. It could even be said that Mozart's Autumn represented the pinnacle of the musical depth of the left and right-hand duo. It was also because of the existence of this song that the entertainment company in charge of the concert preparation work paid special attention to it and hired two famous experts in Beijing, He Lin and Qi Jinyue. These two people were even more famous than Zhuo Jingxi's fiancé, Zhou Long. It was a pity that the heavens were not on their side. The two of them fell into the hospital before they could perform the song together. One of them was injured and both of them were extremely unlucky. Zhou Yun paced back and forth backstage, almost dazzling the eyes of the person in charge of the entertainment company beside her. Sister Zhou, take a break. Anyway, he's already on stage. No matter how nervous you are, it's useless. I understand what you're saying, but I'm just afraid. Zhou Yun frowned. I still don't understand how he can play two pianos by himself. Do you know? I don't know either. Then why doesn't he panic at all? It's like he's already eaten the sea-calming needle. Actually, I'm scared to death, but I'm just too embarrassed to say it. There's no use panicking. In fact, not only Sister Zhou and the others, even Jin Shuiwei and Jiang Yage were a little distracted. They couldn't help but look at Chen Guang. Although he and the piano were temporarily hidden in the dark, once the performance began, the lights on his side would be turned on. In Mozart's Autumn, the importance of the pianist was not inferior to the singer at all, so it was inevitable that he would become the focus of the audience. At this time, Chen Guang didn't care about what others were worried about. He had completely entered the state of a bard. In his mind, he was rapidly analyzing the two piano scores of Mozart's Autumn. It wasn't that he had the ability to adapt the music on the spot to make the accompaniment of the two pianos simpler and more suitable for two hands to play the two pianos separately. He was just using his rich playing experience to break down the music score into the simplest rules, such as when to press which key and what sound to produce. This method was very stupid, but it was also very difficult. Only he, who had endured the demonic training of the piano cup world, could use this most difficult and stupid method to do it. Similarly, he was the only one who possessed the terrifying Qilin arms that mortals could only look up to and not imagine. After all, when he first learned to play the piano, he also learned it by throwing bread and steak at the people in the lobby of the bar on the Virginia in a similar stupid method. Raising his hands and stretching his body, Qin Guang could imagine the intense exercise that his arms would undergo. However, it didn't matter. After all, the Qilin arms would be used in a single moment. Sooner or later, the Qilin arms would make an appearance, and it was time for mortals to look up to them. You're asking me how I can play two pianos by myself? Do you think I'll omit half of the notes and stupidly place my hands on the two pianos separately? Don't joke around, that's no different from playing one piano, okay? Why would I do such a shoddy thing to take advantage of the situation? I'm going to defy the heavens. My method is very simple and crude. Perhaps there will be a slight deviation in the intonation, but I'm going to rely on super fast pendulum movements to make my left and right hands play the piano at the same time. I'm going to show you the invincible power of the Qilin arms that I've trained after playing more than 20 million brass fireworks. Qin Guang was also determined. He also had his own ideas. That's right, after thinking for a long time, he still couldn't figure out what method he should use to prove to the world that his Qilin arms was the strongest in the world. He couldn't even find an entry point for a cow eating a pumpkin. But today, when he proposed to play two pianos by himself, he suddenly had a burst of inspiration. He suddenly thought, I'll show off the Qilin arms the way I practiced in the past. What I practiced was overclocked vibration, and as long as I show off the overclocked vibration, it would completely meet the requirements of the Qilin arms. It's just that the amplitude is a little bigger. Alright, it's not just a little bigger but 10 times bigger. But it doesn't matter, I can hold on and I must hold on. This was the live concert of Jin Shuiwei and Jiang Yage. There were tens of thousands of people in the audience. Zhongnan Satellite TV and Yanjing Satellite TV, which had high viewership ratings, were broadcasting it live at the same time. It was said that Xiaozong also spent a lot of money to buy the rights to broadcast it online. The total number of viewers in several places was probably higher than the World Championship of Darts. It was definitely not less than 20 million people. During the previous song, Qin Guang didn't have much screen time, but he knew that when Autumn of Mozart began, all the audience would see the invincible style of the old man's Qilin arms in front of their TV. Surrender. Mortals. Surrender to the old man's Qilin arms. I'll let you understand why the old man was able to conquer your goddess. It's because of the terrifying overclocked vibration of the old man's hands. Don't let your imagination run wild, Jin Shuiwei and I are pure. Before he could let his imagination run wild, Jin Shuiwei and Jiang Yage had already finished their lines. The music was about to start. The crisp and melodious piano solo gradually sounded. Everything sounded normal, full of the beauty of peace and tranquility. Jin Shuiwei could no longer worry about Qin Guang's condition. She picked up the microphone and closed her eyes. The long prelude of the song burst out from her chest and was transmitted to everyone's ears through the microphone. Jiang Yage stood beside Jin Shuiwei, but her mind was focused on Qin Guang behind her. In about 10 seconds, the music from the second piano would start playing. From an ordinary musical performance, it was nothing more than two pianos complementing each other to make the performance more three-dimensional. But everyone who knew the truth was sweating in their palms. A cellist chair was very close to Qin Guang. He had already practiced the piece in his hands to the point where he could play it even with his eyes closed. Therefore, he was more free than the others and could even glance at the piano from time to time. Chen Guang sat on a round stool, his hands on the white piano in front of him, fingers flying. The cellist was full of curiosity. This brother who suddenly appeared to save the situation was very skilled. Although it wasn't amazing to say that he was a substitute at the last minute, with his stability, he could be considered a master. But it was time for the two pianos to perform together. How did they arrange it? Did they change to a single piano? Then the whole concert might be acceptable to the ears of ordinary fans, but to the ears of senior music critics or picky music fans, it would be a serious problem. Right at this moment, his pupils constricted because he discovered something extremely strange. This person was bouncing and then inexplicably sat sideways. The two pianos were on his left and right sides, and his body was completely at a right angle to the piano. His right hand had been completely removed, resting on the other black piano, and his left hand was missing. The white piano did not stop playing, and it was completely the same as before. To the cellist's picky ears, he might have heard a slight change in pitch, but it was still within an acceptable range. But he did not play anymore. Where was his left hand? Did he see a ghost? At this time, the lights on the top of the stage suddenly came on, and two intersecting strong lights shone on Chen Guang. The people in front of the TV saw this scene. Chen Guang sat sideways between the two pianos, his eyes closed, his expression cold. His chiseled facial features looked especially handsome under the light after he put on some simple makeup. As for those that didn't know Chen Guang, they were wondering who this pianist was since he looked rather handsome. Those who knew Chen Guang were even more surprised. How could it be him, Jin Shiyue's rumored boyfriend, personally playing? Of course, whether they knew him or not, they all had the same thought at this time. His sitting posture doesn't seem right, and where is his left hand? Where did it run off to? I have never heard of him being the one-armed hero Yang Gua. Also, are you really playing the piano? After lip-syncing, the current celebrities have developed a new trick, letting their rumored boyfriend fake play the piano. Chapter 535. Just as everyone was puzzled and at a loss, Chen Guang's right hand suddenly moved. From stillness to movement, it happened in an instant. Under the spotlight, under everyone's eyes, his right hand disappeared into thin air. A magic show? A Prince Charming broke both his arms? How did he make his hands disappear into thin air? But there was no mention of this in the previous concert preview. Did he use the special effects of light and shadow? What was the point of this performance? One mystery after another arose in the minds of the audience at the venue and in front of their computers. But at this time, Jin Shiyue and Jiang Yage singing gradually became more sonorous as the music progressed, slowly bringing the audience back into the normal atmosphere of the concert. Jin Shiyue and Jiang Yage were very experienced on stage. Although they were young, they already had the demeanor of a veteran artist. No matter how worried they were about Chen Guang with their stage presence, they would definitely not drop the ball first. Don't be fooled by the two singing and dancing on stage, they actually had a big question mark in their minds. There really were two pianos playing at the same time. How did he do it? He really didn't cut corners and forced himself to play two pianos, not a single note was missing. He really used two hands to play the effect of two people using four hands. What was going on? The two of them were like 100,000 wise. Zhou Yun wasn't much better than Jin Shiyue and Jiang Yage. Hiding in the corner backstage, her eyes widened and blinked, but she still couldn't believe what she was seeing. Is the digital audio playing backstage? Zhou Yun turned to ask the person in charge of the entertainment company. The man was well prepared. He squinted at the front with the binoculars in his hand and hummed, "No, really. This piano was played by Mr. Chen." "Stop joking, I don't believe it. Even if I saw it with my own eyes, I still wouldn't believe it." Zhou Yun was stubborn. She snatched the binoculars and muttered, "Let me see." 20 seconds later, Zhou Yun quietly put down the binoculars. Her mind was blank. The more she saw the scene with her own eyes, the stranger it felt. Chen Guang's hand had indeed disappeared. Even with the binoculars, she couldn't see it. Starting from his shoulder, his hand seemed to have vanished into thin air. But the ups and downs of the keys on the piano could be seen clearly, as if a ghost was playing. But there were no ghosts in this world, only Chen Guang sitting there. Zhou Yun turned to look at the person in charge of the entertainment company and asked doubtfully, "Is it because his hands are moving so fast that we can't see them clearly? Is he really playing one by one?" "I think so. Crazy, completely crazy. Was his hand an electric motor? How could it tremble so fast? And he played it so steadily? I don't believe it." I don't care if you believe it or not, but that's what we saw. I was the one who found the piano, so there's no way it can play automatically. Bai Hua, Lin Jingwei and Gao Ye, who were sitting in the VIP seats, weren't any better. They couldn't be bothered to listen to Jin Shirui and Jiang Yage. Their eyes were glued to the big LED screen at the back of the stadium. On the screen was Chen Guang sitting motionless between the two pianos. What is he trying to do? Bai Hua squinted, trying to see what was going on. Lin Jingwei thought for a long time and said hesitantly, in my humble opinion, maybe his hands are moving too fast and the camera can't capture them clearly. Don't talk nonsense, how is that possible? Bai Hua refused to believe it. What else? How do you explain it? Lin Jingwei shrugged and whispered in Bai Hua's ear, Brother Bai Hua, actually Qin Guang has a very good friend named Wenwen. She knows inner force. Bai Hua raised his eyebrows. Inner force? Lin Jingwei nodded, yes. Then maybe it's really possible. Bai Hua looked at the big screen unwillingly. He's a complete psycho. And also a lunatic. Isn't he afraid of getting into trouble with such a flashy technique? How can a normal person's hands shake like that? Lin Jingwei curled his lips. What is he afraid of? Isn't there me, Jin Shirui and Wenwen? Who would really cut him up and use him as a lab rat? It's just that I didn't expect this guy to be so lucky. His hands are invincible. Gao Ye didn't really hear what the two were talking about, but she was so excited that she pinched Lin Jingwei's shoulder. Lin Jingwei, hurry up and learn from him. This vibration frequency looks so good. It's much better than the thing you bought a few days ago. Just as she finished speaking, Gao Ye realized that they were outside, and there were outsiders. Her face flushed red and she turned to the side shyly. Lin Jingwei quickly covered his face, feeling so awkward. The sound of the piano continued, and Jin Zhang's performance continued as usual. Although the audience in front of their computers and televisions felt that the armless handsome guy, who would occasionally appear on camera, was very magical, they only treated it as a concert Easter egg. Perhaps it was the same as the little rainbow flag that kept spinning in circles at a certain spring festival gala. This was also Jin Shirui's way of promoting her boyfriend's debut, so she got him to be a mascot. It didn't matter if the piano was really played or not. Only a small number of people in the know were shocked to the point that they couldn't even take care of themselves. Finally, the music of Mozart's Autumn gradually stopped, and the accompaniment changed from two pianos to a single piano. Qin Guang was actually having a hard time. Although the Kirin arm was powerful, he was forced to play two pianos this time. The swing was 10 times larger than before, and he still had to play every note accurately during the swing. It wasn't easy. To ordinary people, this was just nonsense. It was like living in a dream. It was impossible and they couldn't even think about it. Only he could. However, as long as he could get through this Mozart's Autumn, the other songs would be easy. Even if he needed two pianos, they were usually simpler combinations, and they could be completed by using homophonic resonance. It wasn't like this song, which required two pianos to complement each other. Finally, he let out a long breath and suddenly retracted his right hand. His body twisted to the left, and he looked like he was playing a piano with both hands. His disappeared hands gradually reappeared in the camera. Although they were still jumping on the piano keys as fast as lightning, at least they could be seen clearly. The TV camera accurately captured this scene. Whether it was the live audience or the audience in front of the screen, their eyelids twitched. They were puzzled. Did this mean that he wasn't putting on a show just now? He was really playing? Are you King kidding me? Even the old fans of Qin Guang's Weibo account, All Around Superman, felt blind. Brother All Around, why are your hands shaking like a helicopter? Why don't you go to heaven? Don't lie to me, I don't read much. Qin Guang was also quite unhappy at this time. I'm already working so hard, but why hasn't the statue of the Kirin arm moved? There's no reason why such a Kirin arm can't convince people? Could it be that the scene looks too fantastical and no one believes it at all? The more he thought about it, the more it seemed possible. He felt a faint pain in the bottom of his heart. At this time, the benefits of the online live broadcast finally showed. There were already technical experts who had intercepted the ultra-clear video source of Bamboo Live, and then slowed down the playback speed by 60 times for frame-by-frame analysis. Then they came to an amazing conclusion. Everyone, as the most technical fan of All Around Superman, I'm here again. But this time it's not to verify the authenticity of the video, but to analyze the supernatural phenomenon at today's concert. I'll give you a warning first, guys with heart disease, don't watch my next analysis. Below the string of text, there were several consecutive long pictures, Each long picture with several frame-by-frame analysis pictures, in which the scattered distribution of Qin Guang's arms in the shape of shadows could be vaguely seen. His last picture was a shocking conclusion in red letters. I believe that everyone will understand after reading my analysis. In summary, Brother Allrounder used the high-frequency vibration of his hands to create the feeling of two hands popping out with one hand. In fact, in the analysis, it can be found that compared with a normal performance with two hands, there is indeed an error of about 0.2 seconds between every two intonations, but he used the other hand to cleverly split it when playing, and this originally unacceptable error was filled in by using a homophonic method, so no abnormalities can be found in normal hearing. I'm really shocked. Although everyone knows that Brother Allrounder is very good at playing the piano, and that the world's most difficult songs can't stump him, his hands are really terrifying. Beyond human understanding. This must be the world's most terrifying vibrating hand. This person directly posted on another Weibo, but after several previous wars between Qin Guang's fans and other people, this technical expert has already become a little famous among Qin Guang's fans, so as soon as his Weibo was posted, it caused a lot of sensation on Weibo. After a while, in the live broadcast room of Bamboo's live concert, the Water Friends also began to shout, asking everyone to quickly go to Weibo to see God. In just a few minutes, this Weibo has received an astonishing number of clicks, and in the form of text, some people in the bullet screen also relayed the technical expert's analysis. At this time, the audience in front of the computer looked at Qin Guang, who was leisurely playing the piano on the screen, and the look in their eyes was not right. This is AF * King Living God. I always thought that I was already a loyal fan of Brother Allrounder, but today I know that I was wrong. I repent for the brief moment that I suspected that Brother Allrounder was a fake. Who would have thought that his hand could be so good? He doesn't play cards according to the routine, and just because he doesn't agree with me, he pretends to be so pretentious, I can't guard against it. No matter what you think, I will first kneel to show my respect. I'm so envious of Jin Shirui, really envious. I'm a girl, everyone knows. I'm also a female fan of Qin Guang. I'm wet, by the way, everyone, don't send me private messages, I won't reply, I only have him in my heart. Far away in a mountain forest in a suburban county of Yanjing, One was sitting in front of the computer, fiddling with the mouse in boredom. The screen was showing the scene of the concert. One's eyes flickered, and no one knew what she was thinking. At this time her phone rang. She looked down, suddenly got up, dropped the mouse and rushed out of the door. Her figure flashed and disappeared into the darkness. Qin Guang had just finished playing a single piano accompaniment, and he would wait until the last song of the concert to use two pianos, so he could finally take a breather. He drank a mouthful of water and fell into ecstasy. Although he did not know what happened, the world of Qilin's arm was showing signs of completion. Thank God today's work was not in vain. Chapter 536. A smile bloomed on Qin Guang's face. How could he not be happy that the world of the Qilin's arm, which he had no choice but to do with, had turned into an unexpected success? The pleasant surprise even made the sound of the piano in his hands become full of emotion. His fingers became more agile and his 10 fingers turned into elves flying up and down in the air. The piano music, which was originally only used as a foil, also had a different flavor. As singers, Jin Shirui and Jiang Yage felt this change the most. Although they didn't know what happened to him, the two girls who had their hearts tied to him also became happy. After The Autumn of Mozart, the TV and online broadcast crew also realized that the identity of this temporarily replaced pianist was special. As long as there was a chance, they would give Qin Guang the camera. They even secretly used different ways to make him look good, and found all kinds of handsome close-ups to give him face. Whether it was the audience in front of the TV or online, they kept giving Qin Guang face. More and more people who didn't know him were curious about his identity, and as for those who knew him, they all sighed and thought that he was a perfect match. Previously, everyone said that for him to be able to get together with Jin Shirui, it was like a toad eating swan meat. In the end, he was not a toad at all. Just based on his piano skills, just based on his inexplicable technique of playing two pianos at once, he was definitely a piano genius that only appeared once every few decades. Given time, he would definitely become a great person, and would definitely be able to leave a strong mark in the history of art. After all, he and Jin Shirui were in the same circle. He was handsome and talented. He won the championship of the World Darts Championship in the morning and played the piano at the concert in the evening. The meaning of this guy's existence was to make people envious, jealous, and hate him. He didn't leave anyone a way out. This mood reached its peak again when Qin Guang began to play the last song, Summer Night Love, which also required 2 pianos. Unlike in The Autumn of Mozart, when people were caught off guard, this time everyone was already mentally prepared. Even when Qin Guang began to change positions, the camera kept focusing on him. Everyone watched as he raised his hand and turned his body. The moment he raised his right hand, his left hand suddenly disappeared, and the sound of the piano changed slightly. Then, when his right hand disappeared, the sound of the piano became a standard 2 pianos ensemble, confirming the previous speculation and analysis. Seeing it with their own eyes was far more shocking than reading the analysis of others on the internet. Waves of gasps sounded at the same time in countless places all over the country. Seeing it with their own eyes was far more shocking than reading the analysis of others on the internet. Finally, when the final song came to an end, Qin Guang raised the sky-piercing Holy Grail and sank his consciousness into it. He saw a massive arm gradually rising from the Cloud City's platform. Lioli was also particularly satisfied with his efficiency. "Boy, I didn't care you for nothing." Qin Guang couldn't be bothered with her and only focused on looking at his statue. The tendons on this arm were exactly the same as his own hand. He clenched his fist tightly, and after it stood up, it was 2,000 feet tall, giving off the feeling that he was raising his fist to the sky. Qin Guang was extremely satisfied with the shape of this statue. It could be considered a powerful and domineering appearance, living up to the amazing effect of the Qilin arm. Apart from that, the Qilin arm was also constantly sending him a lot of faith points. It was only slightly less than when Otto's statue had just been formed, as much as 18,000 units per day. When his mind returned to the outside world, Qin Guang got up and bowed slightly to the audience together with the other band members, which was considered a curtain call. On the other side, Jin Shirue and Jiang Yage bowed together, and then began to express their gratitude to the audience who had come to the venue and to their televisions and computers. The 2 girls were very emotional. Although there were some accidents that almost ruined the concert, they managed to get through it without any mishaps. The effect was better than they had imagined, and the audience's emotions were also more fervent than they had imagined. At this moment, the audience all stood up and shouted in unison. Some were shouting the names of the 2 girls, and some were even shouting the names of Qin Guang or the Almighty Superman. In fact, both Jin Shirue and Jiang Yage knew that although tonight was their concert, the one who would really make a name for himself in the country tonight would definitely be Qin Guang. Needless to say, the news of him playing 2 pianos solo tomorrow and performing perfectly would appear on all major websites, online magazines and television entertainment news. It wasn't just because of his identity as Jin Shirue's boyfriend, but because of his shocking performance. He was going to become famous overnight. Up until now, the 2 girls still felt like they were dreaming. Even when they were interacting with the audience, they could not help but look at Qin Guang, who was sitting on the stage under the spotlight. The other members of the band looked at Qin Guang under the spotlight with envy. They were all in the band and they were all playing accompaniment, but he could be looked up to by millions of people under the spotlight, while they could only hide in the dark, not knowing when they would be able to make a name for themselves. Of course, there was really nothing to be jealous of. With this ability of his, he was really invincible in the entertainment industry. Playing 2 pianos at the slightest disagreement, did the way you debuted have to be so overbearing? Lin Jingwei, who was in the VIP area, kept poking at Bai Hua's heart. "Brother Bai, aren't you embarrassed? Didn't you just say that brother Qin Guang couldn't help Jin Shirue with her career? But in the blink of an eye, he saved such a hopeless situation. To be honest, if I were a woman and had a boyfriend like this, there's no need to say anything. I'd marry him first and think about other things later." Gao Ye secretly stepped on Lin Jingwei's foot and glared at him fiercely. Bai Hua was depressed and annoyed, but he also looked at Gao Ye gratefully. "My sister-in-law is so gentle, knowing to save me some face at a time like this." Bai Hua did not know that Gao Ye was crying out for Sun Xiaoxuan. She was afraid that Qin Guang and Jin Shirue would put on an act. At this time, Jin Shirue and Jiang Yage repeatedly persuaded the audience to leave the stage and go home to rest. It was late at night and everyone was tired, but no one listened. Gradually, the audience's voices became more and more unified. "Qin Guang, brother all-purpose. Qin Guang, brother all-purpose. Sing a song. Sing a song." It turned out that more and more people in the audience knew that the talented pianist was actually Jin Shirue's boyfriend. This was a heaven-sent opportunity, so how could they not encourage the 2 of them to make love on stage? Since the 2 of you have already announced your relationship, and you're now Jin Shirue's boyfriend, don't even think about running away quietly. Sing a chorus. Sing a chorus. Sing a chorus. Someone took the lead and shouted. It seemed that what everyone wanted to see most was for Qin Guang and Jin Shiyue to sing a love song together. Jin Shiyue's face turned red. She was so nervous that she didn't know what to do. But at this time Jiang Yage, who was standing at the side, joined in. Sing a chorus. Sing a chorus. That's right. Let's sing Hiroshima Love. Jin Shiyue waved her hands. Don't. Not good. Qin Guang has never sung before. Qin Guang's expression changed. He just wanted to run away, but on the other side, some unlucky scumbag, no, it was a guitar player who found a microphone and shoved it in front of him. On the big screen, the audience saw this scene and cheered even more happily. If you don't sing, we won't leave. Sing a song. Sing a song. Even the people in front of the TV and computers were happily shouting at the screen, as if the people on the other side could hear their support. Jiang Yage ran up and grabbed Qin Guang's shoulder, dragging him to the front of the stage. Brother-in-law, come here. Qin Guang was dragged to the center of the stage by Jiang Yage with a pale face. Under the spotlight, he stood shoulder to shoulder with Jin Shiyue. At that moment, the audience felt that the man was tall and handsome, and the woman was gentle and pretty. They were really a match made in heaven. Chapter 537. I don't know how to sing. Forget it. No way. Everyone's looking forward to it. If you don't sing, we won't be able to leave today. Jiang Yage tried her best to tease her. On the other side, Lin Jingwei and Gaoya retreated with pale faces. Don't. Jiang Yage, don't do it. Don't. Oh no. Lin Jingwei held his head as if he had seen the biggest tragedy in the world. Gaoya shook her head violently. Too scary, too scary. Bai Hua didn't understand. What's wrong with you guys? Lin Jingwei seemed to have made up his mind to recall this painful experience. When he was a freshman, we dragged him to a KTV and forced him to sing. And then? Bai Hua asked. Lin Jingwei and Gaoya looked like they couldn't bear to think about it. We regretted it for 3 whole months. Bai Hua quietly took out his earphones and turned the volume to the maximum. On the other side, Qin Guang couldn't dissuade Jiang Yage. He smiled bitterly and nodded. Okay. I'll sing a few lines. Just a few simple lines. But I'm not that good. Please don't take offense. No. As long as you're willing to sing, Jiang Yage said cheerfully. Lin Jingwei and Gaoya cursed in their hearts. You're just saying that's not good? Then I'll be the singing sage when I'm tone deaf. 10 minutes later, tens of thousands of viewers left the stage in an orderly and peaceful atmosphere. 5 minutes ago, Zhongnan TV cut off the live stream and began to play commercials. Qin Guang's Weibo had more than 12 million followers, but now he had lost more than 100,000 followers. In short, the whole thing was unbearable for many people, and they blamed themselves deeply. Encouraging Jin Shiyue to sing a song with her boyfriend must have been the worst decision they had made this year. As the saying goes, the demonic voice lingers on for 3 days. It should be at this level. Even when they left the venue, everyone's minds were still in a daze, and their consciousness was a little muddled. They were like walking corpses. What? You asked us how Qin Guang sang? Let's just forget about it and look forward to a better tomorrow, okay? Jin Shiyue and Jiang Yage were the first victims. As 2 professional singers, they kept singing Hiroshima Love in a low voice over and over again because they had almost forgotten how to sing this song. If it was just out of tune, the 2 of them would not have suffered such heavy injuries. What was more frightening was that Qin Guang's singing had a magical quality that could shock the listener's mind and cause them to completely forget the correct tune. The 2 of them simply could not understand. A person with such tyrannical piano-playing skills should have a very good sense of music, but why did he sing like this? Did God open many windows for him and then shut his mouth fairly? Congratulations. In short, today's concert was very successful. Everyone is happy, haha. Bai Hua and the others gathered backstage. Qin Guang's face was stiff, and he was not very happy. He was also puzzled like everyone else. He thought that since his piano skills had improved, there would be no problem with his singing voice. He felt that he should be able to control the tune easily, but as soon as the words left his mouth, he regretted it. Sigh, Brother Wei's upright image has been smeared with a layer of stain. I'm happy. Since I'm unhappy, I can't let others be happy. He crossed his arms and stood between Jin Shiyue and Bai Hua. Thank you for your support, Brother Bai Hua. I didn't disappoint Brother Bai Hua, did I? Did you like the song I played? Bai Hua rolled his eyes. All right, I've already accepted my fate. Don't be so ruthless. Fine, I admit that you can help Shiyue in her career, okay? This is also good. I can see Shiyue find true happiness, and I can finally let go of my hands and feet to pursue my own life. As he spoke, Bai Hua turned his head and put his arm around Lin Jingwei's shoulder. By the way, Jingwei, does Qin like savory tofu pudding or sweet tofu pudding? Qin Guang coughed. Get lost, I like stinky tofu pudding. Today he was also the center of attention. Even backstage, the concert's artists and staff took advantage of the end of the concert and were about to go to the celebration party to greet Qin Guang. Qin Guang also gave Jin Shirui enough face and acted as half a host. He was well-mannered and polite. Later he would naturally have a part in the celebration party. After all, he was the hero of today's event. At this moment, Jiang Yage, who had changed her clothes, ran out from backstage with a pale face. She went to Qin Guang's side and pulled him to the side. Not good, not good. Qin Guang was puzzled. What's wrong? Just now, there was news from the celebration party's hotel. They said there's a minibus with a police car behind it. Jiang Yage panted. And then? Sister Shiyue's grandfather is also watching the live broadcast of our concert. He saw you on TV just now, and now he wants to see his grandson-in-law. He purposely launched a surprise attack without informing us. If it wasn't for the hotel's insider, you would have walked right into a trap. Qin Guang was also frightened. Although Jin Shirui and Jiang Yage's family background was only a rumor, he had more or less guessed it over the past few days. If he and Jin Shirui really had that kind of relationship, then it would be fine to meet the elders. But now it was just an imposter. What grandson-in-law? I don't want to meet him. If I meet him and accidentally give him a gift, then it would really be like stuffing mud into my pants. Even if it's not sh*t, it's sh*t. The old man wasn't feeling well, so he left first. At this time, Jin Shirui also changed her clothes and hurriedly ran over. Oh no, oh no. Yage quickly sent Qin Guang away. Jiang Yage nodded and pulled Qin Guang to the back door. Let's run first. Qin Guang nodded and turned to say hello to Lin Jingwei. Little Lin, let's talk another day. I have something important to do today, so I'll go first. The two trotted all the way to the back door of the workers' sports complex. Jiang Yage sent Qin Guang out of the door. Looking left and right, she looked around and saw that there was no one else around. Suddenly she called out, Dear Guang. Don't go crazy. Qin Guang shuddered as if he had been electrocuted. Jiang Yage pounced on him and kissed his face. Even if you're unhappy, I have to kiss you. Qin Guang pushed her away. Damn it. Don't make trouble. Forget it. I've kissed you. I really have to go. He was really afraid of Jiang Yage. It's not like there's no one who doesn't want you. Is there a need to act like an unscrupulous shrew? Every time they meet, do you have to scare people? Thank you for today. Jiang Yage said again. No need to thank me. It's just a small matter. When a friend is in trouble, I help him. Goodbye, goodbye. Jiang Yage smiled. She took out her phone and waved it in front of Qin Guang. Anyway, thank you very much. If it weren't for you, our concert would have been over. Remember to open WeChat when you go back tonight. It's a real super reward. You definitely won't work for nothing today. For a moment, Qin Guang felt conflicted in his heart. He wanted to take a cheap look, but at the same time he felt that something was amiss. However, Jiang Yage did not give him a chance to speak and slammed the door shut. Forget it. Let's go home. Qin Guang went around the back door and went out of the workers' sports complex. In any case, today was a big harvest. Chapter 538. There was still a sea of people outside. Tens of thousands of people leaving at the same time made the outside of the workers' stadium crowded with people. Qin Guang put on his hat and followed the crowd out. Suddenly, when he went down the stairs, he looked down and saw a family of three. His eyes narrowed. This family looked sloppy and ordinary. A pair of middle-aged men and a son who looked like a high school student walked down with the crowd. They belonged to the kind of ordinary people who would not be found if they were thrown into a crowd. But Qin Guang remembered this family clearly. He would recognize them even if they turned into ashes. When his family's hot pot restaurant had a food poisoning incident, if he remembered correctly, the muscles of the high school student's son's legs had completely atrophied because of the poisoning. Not to mention walking, it was difficult to even lift his legs in bed. The court ruled that the Qin family had to pay a few million yuan in compensation, and 800,000 yuan was awarded to this family. At that time, this family also made a lot of noise. But now they appeared here safe and sound. Especially the high school student's son. He had grown up to be at least 185 meters tall. He was not small either. If he remembered correctly, some time ago, his father had just paid off the court's judgment. When the family went to the scene to collect the money, only the parents came, not the son. So that's how it is, you have recovered long ago. You have lived a good life and you took the 800,000 yuan with peace of mind. At that time, Qin Guang had seen this kid's poison injury with his own eyes. Looking at the skinny and bruised legs, he also felt that he should pay the money. But now, he discovered that the other party was perfectly fine, and a huge suspicion suddenly arose in his heart. He was injured to that extent and he was fine? And he could recover completely? No one would believe it if he said there was no ghost. He was about to push through the crowd and rush down to stop the family, to find them and find out what was going on, but there was a scream next to him. Qin Guang. Oh my God. Brother all-rounder. Give me an autograph. He accidentally raised his head too high and people recognized him with the light. The crowd suddenly became restless, and many people tried to squeeze in his direction. In fact, he shouldn't have been so popular under normal circumstances, but today's situation was special. He had just shown off his godly skills at the concert, so it was only right that these people who had seen the live scene worshipped him. By the time Qin Guang managed to squeeze his way out of the crowd, the family had already disappeared. He stomped his foot angrily. *CK. Until he got a taxi back to the hotel, he was still absent-minded. His mind was filled with the image of the happy family. It wasn't that he couldn't bear to see others living a good life, but if the so-called good life of others was built on fraud and deceit, and the ones who were cheated of their money were their own families, then it wouldn't be right no matter what. It's not that I can't accept your family's recovery, but your recovery is too complete. It looks like you've recovered a long time ago, but when you came to ask for money last month, you said you've become disabled. Previously, Qin Guang had also visited a few families in private. Those families were mostly fine, but the signs of poisoning were far less serious than the children of this family. Perhaps some people would say, you're already so rich now, why do you have to be so concerned about a mere 800,000 yuan? But everyone understood the logic, but having money doesn't mean you can be cheated for free. When Ma Yun was shopping on the street and a 100 yuan note fell out of his pocket, do you think he would bend down to pick it up? The more he thought about it, the more annoyed Qin Guang was. Xan Qin obviously wouldn't be back tonight, so he called his dad. You finally remember that you have a dad. I thought you became famous and had a girlfriend, so you forgot about your dad. As soon as the call connected, Qin Guoli started to complain. You're not even as obedient as Lingshan. A few days ago, Lingshan remembered Army Day and said that I'm a retired soldier, so she bought me a sweater. Hearing those words, Qin Guang felt a mouthful of blood welling up in his heart as he continued. If I recall correctly, I just called you and Mom last week. Also, why did you buy a sweater on such a hot day? Don't tell me it's a clearance sale? So what if it's a discount? I can't wear it just because it's on sale? At least she bought it for me. What about you? By the way, have you been on steroids recently? I saw you winning the World Darts Championship on the sports channel in the morning, and now you're playing the piano on Zhongnan TV? Your mom was so angry that she was supposed to play the finale of Ode to Joy today, but your little bullet piano blocked it. Qin Guoli said again. It sounded like he was lecturing someone, but in fact, he couldn't hide the smugness in his words. I can't help it. Ever since I became enlightened, I became a genius. Do you know what a genius is? I can solve calculus at the age of 3, solve Goldbach's conjecture at 8, and win the Tchaikovsky Music Prize at 12. I was enlightened a little late, but it's fine. I can still live for a few more decades. Dad, you can also appear in the history books in the future. You can be called the greatest Qin Guang's father. Qin Guoli said, save it. If you have something to say, just say it. I'm watching the game. By the way, remember to do a paternity test with me when you come back. Your mother and I both think that you're too monstrous. You don't look like my genes at all. I seriously suspect that you were born with the wrong baby in the hospital. Qin Guang was speechless. After being jested by Qin Guoli for a long time, Qin Guang still couldn't get any information about the poisoning case. Once the topic started, Qin Guoli would start to ramble. He would ask if Qin Guang and Jiang Yage's relationship was harmonious. He would then ask if Qin Guang and Jin Shirui were faking their relationship. Or else he would teach Qin Guang a lesson. He told Qin Guang to be down to earth and not think about selling his body to get to the top of life. In the end, Qin Guoli couldn't change the topic, so he said, anyway, I've already given the money. What's the big deal? We don't need the money now. Can we not dwell on the past? Look forward and be optimistic, okay? Then this irresponsible father decisively hung up the phone, turned off his phone and disappeared. Qin Guang blankly sat by the bed. He naturally knew that Qin Guoli was hiding something. There must be something behind the poisoning case, and it might even involve someone extraordinary. Qin Guang knew that, but he still felt unhappy in his heart. At the very least, Qin Guang should let him know some inside information and let him decide if he wants to let this matter end here or get to the bottom of it. You can't make a decision for me, and I'm not a kid anymore. I can't accept your perfunctory way of doing things. It wasn't just Qin Guili and Qin Guang who were playing dumb. All the uncles in Lilai County who knew the slightest bit of inside information seemed to have been greeted by Qin Guili. That was why Qin Guang had returned to Lilai County several times to investigate on his own, but to no avail. Even when Qin Guang sent Fan Lingshan back to Lilai County to acknowledge her family, he only allowed him to stay in the county for a day before he was half-willingly chased out of the county. Of course, at that time, Qin Guang was also busy dealing with the statue of God and the heavy responsibility on Liuli's shoulders. He was so busy that he didn't have time to spare. However, things were different now. Today he finally managed to deal with the statue of God with the Qilin arm by accident. So far, in the world and the cup that he had experienced, he had completed a grand slam for all the God statues that could be planted. Without the risk of becoming the king of anal prolapse at any time, Qin Guang no longer had any worries in his heart. Coincidentally, he bumped into that family, so he couldn't help but start to think about the past that had caused him so much trouble. He stomped his feet in anger and gritted his teeth as he muttered to himself, "Forget it, since all of you are playing dumb with me, I'll do it myself." If he went back to his hometown and faced that group of uncles who had beaten him up, he would only repeat the same mistake. He would continue to look for those ordinary victims of the poisoning case, but he wouldn't be able to find any clues. Qin Guang felt that being able to bump into this family in Yanjing was simply a great thing that fell from the sky. They were the best entry point to investigate the truth. How can you recover like this? You're like a gecko that has its tail broken and reborn. But now that he had lost them, how could he find them in such a huge Yanjing with so many people? Or should he go back to Dechuan and wait for them? This could also be considered as a solution. Perhaps this was the only way? Forget it, he would go to bed. Just as he was about to lie down on the bed, the phone rang again. He picked it up and saw that it was Xuelin, who he had almost forgotten about. Make a long story short. In front of little comrade Xue, Qin Guang was still able to put on airs. That was how confident he was when others had something to ask of him. "I'm very sorry to call you so late. Brother Qin Guang, it's like this. In order to keep my body in a high-intensity training state at all times, I'm now doing assault training in a special training camp in Shund. It takes about 4 hours to drive from the training camp to Yanjing, so, if you're ready, please let me know in advance and I'll find a car to come back immediately." Qin Guang had just been perfunctory with Xuelin before. He didn't expect him to come so soon, so he found an excuse to let him waste time to cover up the awkwardness of calling him over so casually. But Xuelin took his words as the golden rule, and even plunged into the special training camp. Okay, I'll see how it goes tomorrow." Qin Guang counted the time and was about to hang up after saying that he would just get 600,000 yuan the day after tomorrow. On the other end, Wu Tong's voice suddenly came from Xuelin's side. "Give me the phone." Wu Tong said to Xuelin fiercely and then said, "You've made me so depressed. Finally I got a phone. Little Xue, go somewhere cool, the phone is mine." Sister Wu Tong. Xuelin shouted in a low voice, "This is a closed training, you can't take a phone, it's against the rules. Don't get me into trouble." "Nonsense, you're the one who got into trouble. Who asked you to be so cocky in front of me? It's too late for you to regret it now. If I'm caught by the disciplinary committee, I'll also say that you borrowed my phone, and you'll be the scapegoat," Wu Tong said proudly. Xuelin's low voice was getting further and further away. Obviously, Wu Tong had taken the phone away. She kept her promise. "You ungrateful little brother, how long have you been in Yanjing? You don't even know how to call me. You only care about kissing your celebrity girlfriend all day long, don't you?" Wu Tong's muffled voice was heard. It seemed that she was hiding in a place with a lot of echoes. Qin Guang guessed that it was most likely the toilet. He said angrily, "You don't even have a phone. I heard from Sister Tang Ying that the number you called her is not in service. How can I call you? Where's the telepathy? Also, what celebrity girlfriend? You know, other people were afraid that Su Lijing would settle the score with me, so they gave me a protective talisman. I dared to fight with Su Lijing to the death because I thought I had you, a second-generation official, to back me up. But you, at the critical moment, I didn't even see you. I was so scared that I almost had a nervous breakdown, and now you're blaming me?" Wu Tong was also quite embarrassed. She sighed after a long while. "I'm sorry for putting my dad in trouble. Qin Guang waved his hand at the air. I know what you're apologizing for. Uncle Wu also helped a lot. It's more convenient for him to do his work by sending you away. By the way, why don't you come to the training camp to see me? I've been locked up for more than a month and I'm going moldy. Can you bring me some fresh air from outside? Wu Tong rolled her eyes and revealed her real purpose. Qin Guang hesitated. This isn't a good idea? Can I enter the special training camp? I don't believe that I'll be shot before I even get close to them. You couldn't enter before, but you can now. What? Because of your good disciple little Shuizi. His words carry more weight than mine in the army. You can come in as his personal instructor. Obviously, Wu Tong had planned this when she snatched the phone. To be precise, Wu Tong had been planning this ever since she met Xuelin in the closed special training camp yesterday. Qin Guang's mind also became active. On one hand, it was not easy for him to come to Yanjing, so it was reasonable for him to visit Wu Tong. On the other hand, perhaps he could try to find the whereabouts of the family in Yanjing through Wu Tong or Xuelin. Also, he could not get through to Wenwen's phone, nor could he find her on the internet, so he felt uneasy. If he added all three things together and stuffed them into the training camp, there might be a glimmer of hope at the end of the tunnel. In such a big country, what was the most convenient way to find people? It was the state machine. Okay, I'll come tomorrow. How do I come? Can you send me an address? Qin Guang asked. No need, I'll arrange it. Just go out tomorrow morning and there'll be a car to pick you up, Wu Tong said casually. How do you know how to pick me up without even asking me where I am? Qin Guang asked a super stupid question. Wu Tong's answer was 2 words. Hee hee. Qin Guang instantly understood. I'm not going to talk to you anymore. The instructor is here, so I have to hide my phone. My phone is on vibrate, so don't call me later. I'll hide it in a super secret place. Damn, luckily I brought a plastic bag. Little Shuizi, that broken phone, can forget about taking it back. Hang up yourself, I'll let you hear some interesting sounds. Ever since the particularly interesting and large-scale incident with Qin Guang at the hospital, Wu Tong had obviously opened some kind of Pandora's box in her body. Her moral integrity was gone, and there were signs that she was developing in the direction of Dirty Tong. She seemed to be about to explode after being locked in the closed military camp for the past month. Rustle, rustle, it was the sound of the plastic bag. Then, Paji Zili, Lord Guang, who was lying on the bed, suddenly had a certain image appear in his mind as he silently looked at the 3 words on the phone. He thought to himself, should I hang up the phone and call back? Vibrate. The first-generation iron spear raised his head and roared at the sky, waiting to kill him. Chapter 539. He silently hung up the phone and felt the cool breeze blowing through the window. He felt a little sad and a little pain in the ass. Qin Guang felt that Sister Wu Tong was in charge of killing and not burying. Although she was enjoying it, he was left hanging in the air. He couldn't go up or down. Although he knew that there would be some special services in this hotel, it was different now. He was also a public figure. It was impossible for him to have the courage to call for some special health care. Otherwise, the news would be released on the internet tomorrow. Jin Shiyue's rumored boyfriend is unwilling to be lonely and calls for a call girl late at night. There was another subtitle. Can the goddess's boyfriend really enjoy a happy sex life? The star's strange dreams beneath the surface love. This was King awkward. Forget it, the old man also had the Qilin arm. In the end, it was better to do it himself. It was just that there was no accompaniment to the wine. There was a tiger in the heart, but there was no rose. Wait, if I remember correctly, when I ran away from the workers' stadium, someone seemed to have said that there would be a large scale tonight? I almost forgot. He quickly turned on his phone and logged into WeChat. Sure enough, there was a string of message numbers behind the names of Jiang Yage and Jin Shiyue. He clicked on Jin Shiyue's message first. It was mostly about thanking him for coming to the concert today. She was especially grateful that he had saved the day and so on. There was a hint of reservation between the lines, which was her style. Returning to the initial interface, looking at Jiang Yage's smiling profile picture, Qin Guang only hesitated for 5 seconds before he decisively opened it. The ancients did not lie. Good people will be rewarded. I apologize for my impatience with you before. There were a total of 10 photos in front of him. Just as Jiang Yage said, it was an unprecedented large scale. It was comparable to a certain teacher Chen's photography work. All of them were taken by Jiang Yage herself in the bathroom. Unprecedented and unrestrained, her skin was covered in layers of fine water droplets, suffused with a strange pink color. It was unknown whether it was because of the light or because the blood in her body was boiling. One of the photos was taken from top to bottom, and one could see a small clump of black grass hidden in the middle of two mountain peaks. Her perfect figure was completely exposed and she was clearly showing off. Look, my lower abdomen is so flat without any excess fat. There was another one where she was sitting on the edge of the bathtub, and it was taken from the bottom up. The lens seemed to be covered with mist, obscuring a certain mysterious area. However, the more hazy the beauty, the more it could stir the fire in others' hearts. The biggest one was a front view of her in the mirror. She was standing very close to the mirror, and her exquisite figure was clearly displayed in the mirror. Everything looked so clear, and the expression on her face was hazy and charming, but her left hand formed a V shape, betraying her usual playfulness and cuteness. Damn it. If it wasn't for the fact that he could see her face in two of the photos, and if it wasn't for the fact that her figure looked very familiar, Qin Guang would have thought that she had found these photos on the internet. Towards this classmate, Master Guang was also helpless. Although he knew that something was wrong, he was also a normal man. He really couldn't resist the unscrupulous photo attack of the dignified left and right-hand duo's top superstar, Enchantress Jiang Yage. My Buddha, I repent to you, I'm about to fall. As the saying goes, golden spears and armored horses fight 100 battles against 1,000 armies. About 10 minutes later, Qin Guang only silently threw a pile of tissues to the side of the bed, and then gave a simple reply to Jiang Yage. Awesome, I'm done. Thank you. The photos have been deleted, don't worry. Jiang Yage must have fallen asleep and didn't reply. Every concert was a huge physical test for the artists. They had sung and danced on stage for more than 2 hours today, and they must be exhausted. After a good sleep, Qin Guang woke up to a series of hurried knocks on the door early the next morning. He didn't even have time to wash up. He hurriedly put on his clothes and opened the door. Qin Guang was in a bad mood and he cursed, "Who the hell is so wicked as to come knocking on my door so early in the morning?" He opened the door and saw two men in military uniforms standing at the door. He immediately understood that they must be the people that Wu Tong had promised to pick him up yesterday. "You're Qin Guang, right?" The square-faced man in military uniform said coldly with a straight face. Qin Guang felt that there was something wrong with this guy. "I didn't offend you, so why do you act like you've eaten gunpowder? Why is your tone so harsh?" "That's me." "That's good. Come with us. We're on a tight schedule and we don't have time to waste with you," the other black-faced man said as he reached out to pull Qin Guang. *CK. Qin Guang was immediately unhappy. "Are you guys crazy? Not only did you come knocking on my door early in the morning without a word, I'll let you off a little since you're here to help. But for no reason you're giving me a cold shoulder. I didn't even let you take my things and you're dragging me away. Did I dig up your ancestral graves or what did I do to offend you? What's wrong with you? Hey, you two. Don't overdo it." As Qin Guang spoke, he exerted a little force in his arm and broke free from the square-faced man who reached out to pull him. "We're on a mission. I hope you'll cooperate." The square-faced man's face darkened. "All right, I don't know who gave you the order and I don't understand why you're acting like you're the best in the world. But if I were you and I was really in such a hurry since you could find me here, you should know my phone number. You should have called me half an hour earlier to inform me instead of arresting me like you're arresting a criminal." Qin Guang turned around and pointed at the things in the room. "Are you guys blind? Can't you see that there are bags of things waiting to be packed in my room? You're soldiers, swift and decisive, but I'm not." Seeing that the square-faced man wanted to say something, Qin Guang waved his hand. "All right, shut up. I'm not going to serve you anymore." As he spoke, he took out his phone and planned to tell Wu Tong. If her so-called private car was what these two people were like, then he should save it. It might be more comfortable if he ran over himself. The two clearly didn't expect that not only would Qin Guang be uncooperative, but he also had such a bad temper. "You dare to be unreasonable after committing a crime? You've got guts." The black-faced soldier was obviously not someone with a good temper. He glared at Qin Guang and raised his hand to grab Qin Guang's phone. Qin Guang quickly retracted his right hand and hid the phone behind his back. His left hand, which moved later, grabbed the black-faced soldier's wrist and exerted a little more strength. The black-faced soldier felt as if he was being clamped by an iron clamp. No matter how much strength he exerted, he couldn't pull his wrist back. Instead, Qin Guang's grip became tighter and tighter. The shock in his heart was indescribable. He wasn't a flashy martial artist. His close-range combat skills were ranked among the top in the Yenjing military. Yet, he was easily restrained by someone's left hand. "Let go," he shouted. Qin Guang raised his left hand and pushed him back. The black-faced soldier staggered back a few steps before he could stabilize himself. The two exchanged blows for less than 3 seconds, but Qin Guang had completely gained the upper hand with just his left hand. The black-faced soldier's breathing became rapid. His chest heaved up and down. He was a little emotional. The square-faced soldier looked at Qin Guang with caution. He felt that something was wrong. Qin Guang's strength was stronger than he had imagined. That's not right. The intelligence showed that he was just a powerless executive of a state-owned enterprise. He had the tendency to flee overseas. The two of us were ordered to come and restrain him. How could a so-called executive have such strength? Stop joking. There must be a problem somewhere. Forget it. I'll stabilize the situation first. Hey Z, look at your communicator. Did you see wrongly? The square-faced soldier turned his head slightly and ordered the black-faced soldier beside him. Hey Z nodded and quickly turned around to take out his communicator. Qin Guang was already very impatient. All right, that's it. I won't make things difficult for you. It's my fault. I shouldn't have disturbed the important national equipment. I can't afford to provoke you, but I can at least hide. Qin Guang waved his hand and ordered them to leave. He planned to close the door first. As a normal person, he really couldn't communicate with these two guys who were spewing bullets. Wait. Mr. Qin, wait. The square-faced soldier raised his hand. Qin Guang turned to look at him. What? You're afraid that I'll tell on you? It's fine. Don't worry. I'm not a 3-year-old who will tell on the teacher for no reason. Maybe you're really busy. You've troubled the two of you to come and pick me up. Maybe I've really delayed your important national affairs. I understand. I'm really sorry. There seems to be some misunderstanding here. Hazy had just looked at his communicator. He looked a little embarrassed. It's my negligence. I confused Mr. Chen with our other mission target. I almost believed you. Can't you be more professional? You're soldiers. This isn't a primary school kid's house. As taxpayers, we pay tens of millions in taxes every year to support you guys? Qin Guang curled his lips. The two of them were red in the face and extremely embarrassed. The black-faced soldier on the other side, Hazy, had no choice but to look at his communicator again. It showed that this Qin Guang seemed to be the special instructor of Shun's special training camp. It was fine to show him a name. Hazy used his hand to cover most of the communicator's screen. He only revealed 2 names and showed them to Qin Guang. Mr. Qin, look. This is really a misunderstanding. Qin Guang looked at the name between Hazy's fingers. He was amused. What a coincidence. It showed that it was Qin Guang. It's like this. The 2 messages came one after the other. Qin Guang's was first and Mr. Chen's was second. His room is opposite yours. When I saw the second message, I thought that the person in the information department typed the wrong words. I also thought that Qin Guang quietly changed rooms. This is really... Hazy scratched his head. The square-faced soldier looked at him speechlessly. This Hazy was good at everything. He dared to fight and his skills were excellent. It was just that he was careless sometimes. This was a joke. Captain Chen, you talk to Mr. Chen? I'll go to room 402 opposite to find Qin Guang. Although Hazy was careless, he was not stupid. He turned around and slipped away. Qin Guang's room 403 and Qin Guang's room 402. It was easy to get them mixed up if one was not careful. Hazy began to knock on the door again. Qin Guang looked at Captain Chen. He turned around to clean up the room and said, Actually, Qing and Chen's pronunciation is different. Captain Chen, you're from Dechuan, right? Do you have a nasal and lateral accent? Captain Chen blushed. That's true. I'm from Lilai County, Xiang City. Qin Guang coughed a few times. What do you mean by hometown? Thinking back carefully, all the boys in high school relied on guessing for the first pinyin question during the language exam. It was basically the same for the top classes. This was indeed the tradition of Lilai County. That's awkward. I'm also from Lilai County. I graduated from Lilai High. What about you? Qin Guang asked as he cleaned up. Captain Chen was slightly happy to meet someone from the same hometown in a foreign land. Then he blushed and smiled bitterly. My family was poor when I was young. I didn't go to high school and joined the army directly. It's good to be a soldier. Many of my buddies have joined the army. My dad is also a retired soldier. Captain Chen felt that although this specially hired instructor, Qin Guang, was a young man, he had a good upbringing. Of course, this was also because it was comfortable and pleasing to the eye to see someone from the same hometown. In fact, strictly speaking, Qin Guang didn't show much of a good temper just now. Qin Guang couldn't be bothered to haggle with them anymore. If they really wanted to arrest him and mistakenly treated him as a criminal, then there was really nothing strange about their attitude just now. He had already committed a crime and they had already used the special forces. If they wanted to arrest him, they couldn't just let him eat a bowl of wontons and sing a song, right? The two chatted and became familiar with each other. However, Captain Chen didn't enter the door. Instead, he focused on the door of room 402 opposite. Blackie was still knocking on the door, but there was no movement from inside. Notebook, change of clothes, phone charger, tea, sports bag, dart box. Qin Guang was stuffing miscellaneous things into a large backpack. At this moment, the door of room 402 finally opened, but there was no one inside. Instead, a black muzzle peeked out. It was extremely creepy. This was the occupational danger of soldiers and police officers. Sometimes you thought it was a small mission, but in the process of carrying out the specific mission, the situation often changed in an instant, and the next second your life would be in danger. Every year, many soldiers and police officers would die in the line of duty. They used their lives to protect the country and the people's property and lives. This was the situation at this moment. In an instant, Qin Guang, Captain Chen and Blackie's hair stood on end. Blackie's face darkened even more. Mother *Kurt, this executive named Qin Guang is at risk of absconding. It seems that it's not possible for him to abscond at all, but he was already prepared to run. However, he didn't expect the relevant departments to arrive so quickly. In a panic, he took out his weapon and planned to fight to the death. In a flash, Blackie suddenly dodged to the other side of the door, while Captain Chen rushed into Qin Guang's room. He opened his arms and subconsciously growled, "Mr. Chen, get down." He was really a competent and responsible soldier. In this life-and-death situation, he subconsciously expanded his body to protect Qin Guang. After all, Qin Guang's current identity was that of a civilian, while he was a soldier. Qin Guang, who was stuffing the dart box into his backpack, opened the box at lightning speed, grabbed a dart, raised his hand and threw it. The dart flew out like lightning, passing by Captain Chen's waist and hitting the muzzle behind the door. Chapter 540. It was a long story, but from the moment Qin Guang saw that the situation was bad to the moment he threw the dart into the muzzle of the opponent's gun, only a second had passed. A scream came from behind the door of room 402, and the opponent's hand that was holding the gun was fractured. Qin Guang had practically used all the strength in his Qilin arm to throw the dart out of desperation. Even elites like Xue Lin and He Zi weren't his opponents, so how could an ordinary person like Qin Guang deal with it? The pistol also fell to the ground, but Blackie reacted quickly. He raised his leg and kicked the door. There was a loud bang and another scream came from behind the door. In the next moment, Blackie had already pounced in and pressed the middle-aged man who was hiding behind the door to the ground. Captain Chen glanced at Qin Guang and thanked him. He then turned around to help He Zi completely control Qin Guang. On the other hand, Qin Guang did not feel anything as he calmly packed his luggage. When he was done, he carried his big bag to the door of room 402. Inside, He Zi and Captain Chen had already tied up the state-owned enterprise executive like a big dumpling. The gun that fell to the ground was also locked and held in Captain Chen's hand. Captain Chen looked at the muzzle in shock. The entire tungsten steel dart was completely embedded in the gun barrel, and only a small part of the tail was exposed. Qin Guang didn't shoot just now, or else he would have been injured by the explosion. The more Captain Chen looked, the more shocked he was. This special instructor was a bit too powerful. From the sudden change to him throwing the dart and hitting the muzzle, it was less than 0.5 seconds. Moreover, at that time his body was completely spread out, and the opponent's muzzle was hidden behind the door. The flight path of the dart was probably extremely small. No, if I remember correctly, I should have completely blocked it at that time. In other words, his dart made a turn in the air, and then stabbed into the muzzle with such a terrifying force. What kind of amazing eyesight, what kind of terrifying strength, what kind of swift and fierce reaction. This person was playing with the darts to the point of perfection. Captain Chen, the surname Cheng's right hand has a comminuted fracture. He Zi checked Qin Guang's injury and said in shock, "Oh my God." Captain Chen sucked in a breath of cold air. At this time, Qin Guang stood at the door with an innocent face and said helplessly, "It seems that your mission is quite important. Why don't you go about your business and I'll go to Shun by myself?" Captain Chen waved his hands. No. It's also our mission to pick you up. Don't worry about it. Blackie and I are just special agents in charge of the actual operation. The local troops and the police are on their way. We'll hand him over to them immediately and there'll be nothing left for us to do. Soldiers had always worshipped the strong, not to mention that Qin Guang was ridiculously strong. Qin Guang's move just now, in addition to the strength he displayed when he easily pinched He Zi with his left hand, was enough to make Captain Qian and He Zi respect him from the bottom of their hearts. The three of them waited together for more than 10 minutes and the backup came late. When they heard that Qin Guang actually carried a gun with him, the level of the case was raised again. Previously, some of his problems were still in doubt, but he actually took it out when he was being investigated. This could only mean that the problem with him was more serious than they had imagined. After a while, Qin Guang finally got into Captain Qian and He Zi's car and went to Shun's special training camp together. Instructor Qin, this time, are you going to the special training camp to train Captain Shui alone, or do we all have the opportunity? After sitting in the car for a short while, the outspoken He Zi couldn't help but ask. He even changed his title to instructor. Last night, Wu Tong's phone call had been hung up too quickly, and Qin Guang didn't know how she communicated with the special training camp. For a moment he really didn't know how to answer He Zi's question. He was afraid that he would say something wrong, and it wouldn't match up with Wu Tong and Shui Lin's communication with the troops. It was a small matter to cheat Shui Lin on the issue of discipline, but he couldn't cheat Sister Wu Tong. He Zi, have you forgotten the military discipline? Don't ask questions that you shouldn't ask. Captain Qian saw that Qin Guang didn't want to talk about it, so he shut He Zi's mouth. The three of them chatted along the way and halfway through the car He Zi suddenly said, Instructor Qin, I don't want to criticize you, but you really have a bad temper. When you grabbed my hand just now, I thought it was clamped by steel pliers. Come on you guys. I don't even know what's going on. I had a good sleep early in the morning and it's fine that I was knocked out of bed by the two of you, but the moment you came, you started to talk nonsense. You even said that I committed a crime and you even touched me first. How can I not be angry? Qin Guang said angrily. Captain Qian apologized again. It's a misunderstanding. It's all a misunderstanding. Qin Guang, who was sitting in the back, pursed his lips. Misunderstanding your face. It seems that the two of you usually handle cases like this, but it's no wonder. Qin Guang pulled out his gun at the slightest disagreement today. It shows that most of the criminals that the two of them usually face are vicious people, and the cases that they handle are also major cases. Naturally, when they are on a mission they are more vicious than ordinary police officers. Looking at their organization, they belong to the military, but they do some police-related work. Although they didn't ask which unit they belong to, they can't run away from the word special service in front of their names. Perhaps they are similar to Shui Lin's special team in the 5 capitals, specializing in some urgent and major situations that ordinary police officers and special forces can't handle. Oh right, after we go in, Instructor Qin, you must not wander around. Although you are a specially hired instructor, Shun's special training camp is a bit special. It has been many years since a non-staff member has entered Shun's special training camp. After going through a twisting and turning path for an hour, the tall green wall in front of them stood impressively in the valley. On both sides of the road were 2 mountains, and the solid wall that was several feet high was built at the exit of the valley. There were several dark holes on the wall, and no one knew how many pairs of eyes were watching outside. At the bottom of the high wall was a large iron gate that looked very thick. Even a layman like Qin Guang could smell the unusual atmosphere from the outside of Shun's special training camp. Captain Qian also greeted Qin Guang in advance. Okay, I understand. There are many rules in the army. I won't cause you any trouble. Qin Guang nodded. The two of them kept taking Qin Guang deep into the special training camp until Shui Lin stood under a building with its back against the mountain. Only then did they hand him over. Shui Lin was quite embarrassed. Brother Qin Guang, I'm really sorry to trouble you to come personally. Qin Guang examined Shui Lin. Although Shui Lin didn't grow any stronger in the past 2 days, Qin Guang's vigor alone made him look more imposing than 2 days ago. Evidently, Qin Guang had been exposed to the sun a lot. Don't be embarrassed. I didn't come for you. Alright, where is Sister Wu Tong? In front of Shui Lin, Qin Guang was straightforward and didn't hide anything from him. Sister Wu Tong's usual training area isn't here. She has to go further in. So troublesome? Qin Guang was distressed. Then do you have any way to use Yanjing's Skynet to help me investigate people? Shui Lin was taken aback. She shook her head awkwardly. I really can't. I can use my connections to get Brother Qin Guang in as a special instructor, but using Skynet's resources to investigate people and things belongs to Sister Wu Tong's special training area. I can't do that unless it's a war. It's a little taboo for me to do that with my connections. Qin Guang was really confused by the extremely complicated things here. He hurriedly said, Okay, I won't beat around the bush. I came all the way here not only to help you with the special training, but also to find out where a few people are at this time. I don't believe that Wu Tong can't find a way to see me if she asks me to come here. Make a long story short, what should I do to get to her side? I had this idea before, but then Sister Wu Tong changed her mind. What did she say? She heard that you were going to teach me something, so she wanted to get you in as an external instructor for the special training personnel. But then I told her that Brother Qin Guang once said that special training can't be taught easily, and there's no way to teach more people, so she rejected this idea. I think she might be planning to find an excuse to ask for personal leave like she did last night to come here. Qin Guang was in a dilemma. If what Shui Lin said was true, then didn't he come here for nothing? Although it was rare to meet Wu Tong and he was very happy, and he might even be able to take advantage of her, his main purpose was not here. His motive for coming here was to investigate the family that was still in Yanjing and Wenwen's whereabouts. My motive was very pure. No, I have to think of another way. I must get to Wu Tong's special training area. Can you find a way to inform her? Ask her not to rush over tonight. I'll think about it carefully. I must go to her side. Arrange a place for me to stay and I'll think about it by myself. You don't need to do surprise training for the time being. You're in good condition now. From now on, focus on recovery training, and I'll give you special training tomorrow night. Also, you better think about one thing in your heart. Other than your comrades, what else in this world can't you give up? I'm not joking with you. My special training can really kill you if you're careless. Shui Lin nodded and brought Qin Guang to the room that was already arranged for him in the third-floor dormitory. However, after Qin Guang connected the computer, he didn't feel very good. There was no internet, wasn't this a trap? He was really bored, so he simply picked up the script of Women, and started to ponder over it. He didn't know if it was because of the heavenly Holy Grail, but his memory seemed to be much better than before. In the past, it was more uncomfortable for him to memorize boring things. Now, although he didn't have a photographic memory, he basically memorized the script seriously, and his efficiency was at least several times higher than before. Qin Guang guessed that this might be due to the extra 200 years he lived in the Sea of Time. After all, he was experienced, knowledgeable, and had a strong memory. About an hour later, someone knocked on his door. It was Captain Chen. Instructor Chen, are you there? Opening the door, Qin Guang looked at Captain Chen in confusion. Captain Chen, what's the matter? Captain Chen rubbed his hands in embarrassment. It's like this, Instructor Chen. If I'm disturbing you, then I can't do anything about it. I thought you were going to say you're embarrassed. If you can't do anything about it, then why are you pretending to be embarrassed? Don't they all say that soldiers are straightforward? You should learn from your little brother, Hey Z. Just say what's the matter. I'm not used to you being like this. It's like this. When Hey Z and I were chatting with other colleagues, we talked about your amazing dart. My colleagues didn't quite believe it. So? What does this have to do with me? That's why I'd like to invite Instructor Chen to the training ground over there so that everyone can see it for themselves. Of course, if it's possible, we also hope that Instructor Chen can teach us a thing or two. After all, you're the instructor, right? Captain Chen was thick-skinned. He made such a shameless request without batting an eyelid. Qin Guang frowned. This wouldn't benefit him at all. I'm not familiar with you guys, so why would I teach you guys? Besides, I used countless lives and countless holes on my body to get my dart skills. If I really wanted to teach others, I really wouldn't know how. Well, maybe my request is a bit presumptuous, but I hope Instructor Chen can understand our feelings. You've seen it today. Our work is always in danger, so we're never willing to give up any opportunity to master more military skills. Maybe one day in the future, this skill can save our lives in actual combat. Qian Ming, step aside. You can't convince him. Let me do it. At this moment, a spirited white-haired old man walked in from the door. Qian Ming's body tensed up. He stood at attention and saluted the man. He said loudly, General Tan. General. Qin Guang's eyelids twitched. In this era of peace, there weren't many generals in the country. He didn't know much about military ranks, but looking at the rows of bars hanging on his chest, he seemed to be very powerful. The old man had quite an imposing manner and was quite deceitful. Hello, General Tan. He also imitated Qian Ming's action and saluted. You're Qin Guang, right? I heard about you from my subordinates. I also specifically watched the video of you participating in the World Championship. I'm very interested in your dart skills. You do have a very unique side in this aspect. You're even better than a little girl we've met before. You also know that little girl. Her name is Xan Qin. General Tan had an easygoing smile on his face as he walked forward slowly. Really? Thank you for your appreciation, General Tan. I don't deserve it. The other party could recognize Xan Qin's name. Obviously he was knowledgeable. Qin Guang's guess about General Tan's identity was a little higher. You're a straightforward person, so I won't beat around the bush with you. I'm the person in charge of the Shun Special Training Camp. Now, as the Commander-in-Chief of the Shun Special Forces, I'm officially inviting Mr. Chen to be the chief instructor of the team's dart course. What do you think, Qin Guang? General Tan spoke like this. He went straight to the point and cut the Gordian knot. Qin Guang hesitated. He didn't have the intention to be a soldier. He was born free and carried the big secret of the heavenly Holy Grail. It might not be a good thing to plunge into the military system. Are you going to say that you're undisciplined by nature and might not be able to adapt to the rules of the military? He didn't expect General Tan to see through him again. This old man wanted to seize the initiative in the conversation with every sentence. He was trying to suppress me in the conversation. Qin Guang's heart was alarmed. If it was a real young man, he might really be suppressed by General Tan's pressing style of conversation. But who was he? The old man was a monster who had lived in the Sea of Time for 200 years. The old man was the prophet and sage Rai Qin that 178 billion people in the Sea of Time had to look up to. You want to suppress me with just a few words? The salt I've eaten is more than the rice you've seen. Don't flaunt your seniority here. General Tan didn't know that his habitual domineering attitude had aroused the resistance in Qin Guang's heart. Qin Guang turned his body slightly and his aura suddenly changed. He smiled. I appreciate General Tan's good intentions, but I'll dispense with the military rank and organization. It's also my wish to contribute to the country. However, in my Qin Guang's 20 years of simple life, I didn't really enjoy much help and care from the country. So to put it bluntly, it's not that I can't teach you, but there's no such thing as giving it to the country for free. His meaning was very clear. I can teach you, but I want benefits. It's an equivalent exchange. Don't fool me with an empty title and an empty promise. I won't fall for it. I'm also not interested in being a soldier. I have a very comfortable life outside. I don't need to run into the army to tie a rope around my neck. Qin Guang's words were resolute and didn't give General Tan any room to maneuver. General Tan's eyes narrowed slightly and stared straight at Qin Guang as if he wanted to see through Qin Guang's real thoughts. But he gave up after a moment. He felt it was incredible because the young man standing in front of him didn't have any of the immaturity he showed when he was chatting with Chen Ming. If he didn't see him with his own eyes, General Tan would almost think that he was facing a wise elder who had seen through all the vicissitudes of the world. Qin Guang still smiled calmly, but he was laughing in his heart. A young man who's not even 80 years old, how can you understand the life awareness of a 200-year-old monster? You're still trying to show off. Chapter 541. Young man, it's wrong for you to think like this. General Tan might have been in a high position for too long, so he was not used to Qin Guang's straightforward way of asking for benefits. He wanted to refute, but he felt that something was wrong. In his view of life, a person could give up anything for the country, even his life. How could he ask for benefits from the country just to be an instructor? He was a little unhappy and even wanted to use his identity to force Qin Guang, but he suddenly remembered a lot of things. This young man never seemed to be easy to deal with. Previously, the matter between him and Su Lijing caused a storm in the political circle, but it did not cause any big waves in the military circle. Only a few people paid more attention to this matter. What was done was done. Although Su Lijing's influence in the country was not small as a technocrat, although he had some connections, his foundation was not deep. He was not like the traditional forces in the military and political circles who had been deeply rooted for many years. Making a move against Su Lijing wouldn't be a huge blow to China. Perhaps his so-called comrades might feel sympathy for him, but there's no guarantee that anyone would dare to stand up for him and fight to the death with Qin Guang. But in any case, it happened after all. Qin Guang, as a mere college student, brazenly overthrew a big name who had been rooted in the domestic economic circle for many years. In addition, his love with Jin Shirui could not be ignored. Although in the eyes of the older generation like General Tan, no one was really optimistic about the young man's impulsive journey together. But that was Jin Shirui, not an ordinary female artist who changed boyfriends every day. The special family behind her was destined that every love of hers was not vigorous, but it must be extraordinarily serious. In any case, before the relationship between the two broke, Qin Guang was already half a member of the Jin family. Not only that, Xiao Shuai and Wu Tong also paid special attention to him. This guy also had a close relationship with the old man's grandson, so there was no need to force him. General Tan, I won't argue with you because it's meaningless. It's not that I'm being selfish, but there's something that's hard to say. How about this? Since General Tan knows Xan Qin, why don't you simply let Xan Qin represent her sect and teach you the art of concealed weapons? This move of Qin Guang's was called retreating in order to advance. General Tan used the fact that he knew Xan Qin to hint to Qin Guang that they had other choices other than him. Qin Guang, on the other hand, did the opposite. I'm not interested in your matter. Since you know Xan Qin, why don't you go look for her? Although Qin Guang had never entered the inner circle of the so-called inner force users, from the people and events he had come into contact with so far, it was obvious that these people with inner force were extremely special in the country. If the military wanted to obtain their abilities, the price they would have to pay would be far greater than expected. As expected, when General Tan heard Qin Guang's words, he became even more embarrassed. He thought to himself, I'm looking for you because you look like you're easier to fool. You're not like those sects with inner force users who are all cunning and often ask for exorbitant prices. Just to get Thousand Despair sect out of the situation of seclusion, they had paid a huge price. They even pushed Xan Qin, a little girl with a perverse character, to the position of the China Escort Association president. Even then, they still couldn't start a formal negotiation with Thousand Despair sect. God knows how much it would cost Thousand Despair sect to send someone as an instructor. Comparing the two, General Tan gradually figured it out. Since Qin Guang's skills were stronger than Thousand Despair sect's eldest disciple, Xan Qin, and even Xan Qin was willing to follow by his side, since he showed signs of relenting, wasn't it only right and proper to give some benefits? It was his brain that short-circuited. General Tan's mood instantly lightened up when he thought of this. Qin Guang also noticed the change in him and laughed inwardly. He seemed to have understood. Qin Guang, what do you want? General Tan waved his hand slightly, signaling Chen Ming to leave. Chen Ming bowed and left the dormitory. Qin Guang thought for a moment, his eyes focused. I need a special identity. A license to kill? General Tan asked. Qin Guang asked in return, does such a thing really exist? You can pretend that he doesn't have it, but you can also pretend that he does. The so-called license to kill doesn't really allow a madman to kill without taking responsibility. It's only for some special cases. When a soldier is carrying out an important mission, he has the power to strike first against a confirmed criminal. But this doesn't mean that you can use this power to take revenge, nor does it mean that you can use it as a reason to rule over the people. General Tan had already guessed Qin Guang's request. I can give you an identity to be attached to my Shun special training camp. In terms of rank, you will be at the same level as Chen Ming. You can mobilize some of the intelligence resources that you want. Some of your requests will also be given special treatment under special circumstances. Other than that, although you have this special identity, we will not assign you any tasks. You will still have complete freedom. Of course, if you are willing, you can also consider forming your own special operations team, and we will fully cooperate with you in the selection of candidates. General Tan's words were not very clear. They were somewhat ambiguous, but the meaning was very clear. This was a real amulet within the system. Qin Guang nodded, deal. But forget about the special operations team. I don't have that much of a sense of justice. I prefer to sweep the snow in front of my own door. The youngsters nowadays really can't be compared to our generation. General Tan relaxed and teased after the matter was settled. Qin Guang laughed, you can't say it like that. If it's really a national crisis, of course, everyone has a responsibility. It's a man's wish to do his part and turn the world upside down. But the times are different now. Everyone has different demands in life. For example, the research companies that invest billions of US dollars in research and development every year, sit on countless patents, and break one technical barrier after another for our China. I think their contribution is no less than the soldiers guarding the border with guns. Indeed, it's me who can't keep up with the times. The future belongs to you young people. Chen Ming, come in and take Qin Guang to go through the formalities. You will be comrades in arms from now on. General Tan gave a few more instructions before bidding farewell to Qin Guang and leaving. He brushed past Chen Ming and walked out of the room. For some reason, Old Man Tan, who was a man of virtue and prestige and a veteran of the battlefield, had an illusion in his heart. It was as if the person he had just negotiated with wasn't a young man, but a peak sovereign scepter expert who stood at the peak of the world and held the life and death of billions of people in his hands. He shivered slightly and shook his head. He was puzzled. So strange. Why would I think that? When Qin Guangjing saw this scene, he turned his head slightly and looked out the window. Invincible, it's so lonely. I don't want to take out right Chen's status to talk to people. It's all because you seduced me. Instructor Qin Guang, this way. Qin Ming's head hung very low. He didn't dare to look Qin Guang in the eyes. Qin Guang patted his shoulder. Old Qin, don't call me Instructor Qin in the future. Call me Brother Guang. Yes, Instructor Qin. Half an hour later, Qin Guang changed into a military uniform and appeared on the training ground. Looking at the thousands of people below, he was a little drunk. Old Man Tan was too good at maximizing resources. He pulled everyone in the training camp over here. What happened to the special elite training? If I'm not wrong, the people standing on the far left of the square formation are the cooks. Looking at their greasy faces and palms stained with oil, did they just walk out of the kitchen? Qin Guang pointed at the group of people suspected to be the cooks. He pulled Chen Ming over and asked, "This group of people, all oldly from the cooks?" The big mouth. Chen Ming said casually, "They really are from the cooks." Qin Guang turned his head and looked resentfully at General Tan, who was sitting in the distance as a spectator. There were many middle-aged people around him. The epaulets and bars on their chests weren't as spectacular as Old Man Tan's. They were mostly middle-level leaders in Shun's special training camp. Looking at the microphone in front of him, then looking at the many soldiers standing ramrod straight below the stage, looking at him with incomparable eagerness, Qin Guang began to feel awkward. I just agreed readily, but the problem is, how should I teach them? Thinking about it carefully, I really have no clue what to do. So many people are staring at me. Damn, Old Man Tan, don't look at me with that face full of expectation. I'm a little confused. At this moment, Hazy rushed over from the side, holding a laptop in his hand. Instructor Qin, why don't we put down the teaching materials first? Teaching materials? What the hell? How come I don't know about it? Qin Guang was puzzled. Hazy laughed mischievously. It's those videos you posted on the internet. I watched them all. They're really awesome. Many of my comrades don't know about it. Everyone is just obeying orders out of habit. That's why they're willing to stand here and wait for class. But if they watch your videos and documentaries first, then they'll understand how awesome you are. Their mood will be different and the effect of your teaching will be much better. Qin Guang touched his mouth. He felt that what Hazy said was reasonable, but he was a little embarrassed. Although the old man's skin is thick, it's really not right for me to talk about my documentary in front of others. In the sea of moment, I can barely be completely shameless, but here there's Shuelin looking at me eagerly from the side. I'm very shy. This Brother Qin Guang, why don't you go rest first? I've watched your entire competition, why don't you let me do it? At this moment, Shuelin walked over. Qin Guang secretly gave him a thumbs up. No wonder he was the first disciple that the old man took a liking to. His eyes were really good. He quickly turned and ran to the shady area where Old Man Tan and the others were gathered. He lifted the heavenly holy grail, crossed his legs and drank his tea. Colleagues, I'm Shuelin from the 5 Capital Military Region. Many of you know me, so I'll just introduce myself. But today I'll be talking about my instructor, Mr. Qin Guang. I'll have to start from a big case that happened 3 months ago. I'm sure many colleagues have already guessed that it's the Shattered World Organization's invasion of the 5 Capital. On the other side, Shuelin had already brought out Qin Guang's past and confidently talked about it. On this side, Qin Guang came looking for Old Man Tan. Little Qin, how do you plan to teach? Qin Guang cursed in his heart that this old man didn't trust him, but he really had no clue. He could only smile and drink his tea while pretending to be profound. He pointed at the soldiers standing upright under the hot sun and said indifferently, "General Tan, haven't you noticed that my special training has already begun?" The so-called acting mysterious was referring to what Qin Guang was doing at this moment. He only had an unfathomable look and everything was said without words. In any case, Old Man Tan didn't understand. Perhaps in his heart, Xan Qin and I had the same thoughts. In short, he just had the attitude of, "You people from the court don't understand the affairs of the pugilistic world." As expected, when General Tan heard this, his eyes narrowed. He looked at the 1,000 soldiers below who were completely focused on Shuelin's story. So that's how it is. Amazing. Impressive. Qin Guang chuckled. You flatter me, you flatter me. Actually, he had no idea how Old Man Tan thought he was impressive, but that wasn't important. It was fine as long as he could fool people. He coughed lightly again and said, "General Tan, forgive me for speaking bluntly. Although these 1,000 or so people below can be considered elites in the military, in my eyes, there really isn't much to be done. What do you mean? My skills are based on pure talent. It's not something that can be learned just by having a physical fitness up to standard. It's more about the root bone. Yes, that's right, the root bone. This so-called root bone isn't just the muscles, bones, and skin. It also involves some mysterious things that I can't explain to you. You won't understand even if I explain more. Although old Master Guang's acting skills were terrible, his bragging skills were top-notch. His empty words and random concepts were top-notch at fooling people. He said 1,000 and 10,000 things, but the summary was as follows. Your people don't have talent, so even if I teach them, they might not be able to learn and most likely won't be able to learn. As for the reason, I've already said, it's because they don't have talent. To put it more plainly, they don't have the root bone. Don't ask me what the root bone is. You won't understand even if I tell you. In short, don't blame me if your people can't learn it even if I teach them with all my might. He had already started to shift the blame. Your people can't learn it because they're too weak. Don't blame the old man for not trying his best. Old Man Tan felt a little lost after listening, but it wasn't that he couldn't understand. After all, the abilities that Qin Guang had displayed in the World Darts Championship or in the videos he had filmed were completely beyond the comprehension of ordinary people. Extraordinary people would do extraordinary things. They couldn't be judged by common sense. General Tan sighed. I understand. It's fine. Little Qin, I understand what you mean. Let's try our luck. He looked at the warriors below silently, his heart filled with bitterness and hatred. Those inherited forces that had mastered inner force were really detestable. Each one of them was more difficult to deal with than the other, so much so that they still hadn't made any breakthroughs in this aspect. If inner force could be popularized among the modern soldiers, how wonderful would that be? It was already so difficult to cooperate with the Thousand Despair sect, which was so desolate that it was almost lost, not to mention the other rumored forces such as the one clan that everyone knew was near Yanjing, but they were nowhere to be seen. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.